Thank you very much, Madam Clerk. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the regular council meeting for Clearview Township Council on Monday, May the 26th, 2025. Earlier, council met at an in-camera session at 3:30, and we have returned here. It's just a moment after 5:30, so we're going to commence with our regular agenda at this time. We do have quite a crowd here in our chambers, and we appreciate that very much. So we'll get started right away. I'd like to begin our meeting by recognizing the First Nations, Métis, and Inuit peoples of Canada as traditional stewards and caretakers of the land. We acknowledge that Clearview Township is located within the boundaries of Treaty 18, the traditional lands of the Anishinaabe, the Haudenosaunee, the Tiatanati, the Wendat, and is the home to many First Nations, Métis, and Inuit people as part of an intricate nationhood that reaches across Turtle Island. And at this time of truth and reconciliation, we welcome the opportunity to work together towards new understandings and new relationships and ask the Creator for guidance in all that we do. And as always, it's my privilege and pleasure to say the land acknowledgement on behalf of the township as the mayor. I do so voluntarily. The other thing I'd like to just start our meeting off with, just by acknowledging that King Charles is visiting our great country. He arrived today. So, Council, if you recall back to the days when you said your oath, the King is now in our country. We actually have the King of Canada here visiting us for a few days. So I think it's kind of significant that we do have the sovereign actually in our country. So it's great to have him here, and the Queen, of course. At this time, we're going to move on in our agenda. We have item number 2, approval of the agenda. And at this, the resolution says, be it resolved that Council of the Township of Clearview hereby approve the agenda dated May 26, 2025 as presented. Mr. Beelan, thank you. Ms. Deneen, thank you. And if there's any amendments or changes, questions of the agenda. Seeing none, I'll call the motion. All in favor. That carries unanimous. Thank you. At this time, are there any declarations of pecuniary interest or general nature thereof as part of the council agenda? Seeing none, if anything comes up during the meeting, please bring it forward. We'll deal with it right away. Council, we're going to move on to public participation period, which is item number 4 on our agenda. I'll read the script and then we'll get started. Be advised that comments and views expressed under public participation period are not the views of the Township of Clearview Council or the administration. Public participation is limited to 15 minutes. Each person is limited to 5 minutes. Questions or comments are to be directed to the mayor, and questions shall not refer to personnel matters, litigation or potential litigation, or planning matters that have already had a public meeting or any item considered confidential. And as always, please remember to share the time with your fellow citizens. At this time, I will ask the Deputy Clerk, are there any qualifying electronic participations to read today?
Thank you, Your Worship. No, there were no qualifying submissions.
All right. Thank you very much for that. Now I can open the floor. The microphone is open. We see we have some people in our audience here tonight. Does anybody want to come forward? Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Mr. Mayor. Thank you for having the opportunity. My name is Gail Cocker. I'm a Master Gardener, certified Master Gardener. I'm a member and a director of Master Gardeners of Ontario. I am a member of the Creemore Horticultural Society. I'm also the coordinator of the Simcoe County Master Gardeners. So you get a little hint that my comments are something to do with horticulture. I want to start by saying that pollinators are the reproductive success of ensure the reproductive success of plants and the survival of wildlife. And they depend on plants for food and shelter. They are responsible for the food that we eat, worth billions of dollars to our economy. And we know that bees and insects are critical to the health of our ecosystem. And yet they're in serious decline due to the combination of habitat loss, disease, climate change, and exposure to pesticides. So I was absolutely delighted to see the proposed new encroachment bylaw taking into consideration the potential and the opportunity to repurpose the hell strips into native gardens to provide food and shelter for our important pollinators. So I do appreciate that very much. The only comment I'd like to make and the suggestion that I'd like to make is I'm a bit concerned with the height restriction of 60 centimeters, 24 inches. That's going to restrict many, if not most, of our drought-tolerant plants, native plants. You know that native plants, especially the drought-tolerant ones, have long tap roots that are searching for moisture way deep in the soil. And if they're long and deep underground, they're tall above ground. The other thing that native plants are known for, they've been bred for centuries, and through that time, they're reaching through the crowded ecosystem around them to find the sun, and consequently, many of our plants are very tall. And the fact that they're perennial means they have an opportunity to grow tall. I was taking, when I read through the new bylaw, I decided to take a look through the Credit Valley Conservation Guide for native pollinator gardens. They have a very good booklet that you can get online. Anyway, most of the plants that are recommended in here that would be suitable for a boulevard garden, I'm not looking at moisture loving bog plants or anything. Most of them are about 75 to 90 centimeters tall. Golden Alexander, hairy beard tongue, wild bergamot, black-eyed Susan, you name it. As I flipped through here and I circled the ones that would be appropriate, a lot of them would not meet the height restrictions in the new bylaw. The other critical point is that if you really, really want to help the ecosystem, then you want to plant natives that support the greatest number of butterflies and moth caterpillars and pollen specialist bees. These are what we call our keystone plants. And goldenrod, as opposed to ragweed, which I'm sure everyone here knows the difference, goldenrod supports 104 different caterpillar species and 42 different pollen specialist bees. There are 4 kinds of goldenrod that would be wonderful in a boulevard garden, but they all grow up to 1.5 meters. They could be pruned early on, but I think 1 meter would be the logical height. Another important keystone plant is asters. They attract over 100 different caterpillars, 33 different bee specialist, pollen specialist bees, fringed blue aster, smooth blue aster. They would be great in a boulevard garden. The first one grows to 1 meter tall. The other goes up to 1.5 meters. But again, you could trim it early and keep it to within 1 meter. So I appreciate that sightlines are an important safety consideration, but I would strongly urge the council to consider increasing the height restriction in the encroachment bylaw to 1 meter, 39 inches, so that these native keystone plants could be included in the gardens. Thank you.
All right. Before you go then, thank you very much for your comments. First of all, I want to thank you. First of all, for your volunteer time with the Horticultural Society. That's a wonderful group that does great work in our community. So thank you for doing that. Can I just ask you, I'm sure I heard you say hell strips.
Yeah.
What's that?
Well, that's a common terminology for those strips between a private property and the road, and often they're filled with detritus and pavement materials and not looking great. So that's just a common terminology.
So that would be the lands that are owned publicly by the municipality and maintained by the municipality for the purposes of the enjoyment of the public.
Yeah.
Hell strips.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for that type of reference. That's something I'd not heard of, but thank you. Are there other members that want to speak? Hello, Brenna.
Hello.
I knew you'd be here tonight.
And I'm wearing my glasses, so I can see properly this time, which is good. And I might be a little bit repetitive because of Gail's great information that she's given, but obviously I'm here about the same thing, the Boulevard bylaw, and I'm just gonna read out the feedback that we sent today on behalf of the Clearview Sustainability Network to council and staff. I won't bother making stuff up. I'll just read right off my email here. And I just wanted to say that all of us at the Clearview Sustainability Network would like to thank staff for preparing the draft Boulevard Garden bylaw in response to community feedback and input from our network. And we are extremely grateful that Clearview Township has listened to residents, engaged with feedback, and responded with a timely and well-researched bylaw. We believe this is a great step forward in making Clearview Township more pollinator friendly, using green infrastructure to address climate change and also beautifying our towns and villages. So very positive. We appreciate that this bylaw is science-based and has used example policies from other municipalities as a starting point. And we especially appreciate the emphasis on planting native drought-tolerant plants and forbidding noxious weeds, again, with clearly defined in the bylaw according to provincial legislation, which is fantastic, and also forbidding invasive species, which has also been clearly defined by referencing NVCA guidelines. So while this is a very commendable and much appreciated step forward, we just have two suggestions for simple yet important amendments to the proposed bylaw that would make it serve pollinators and people even better. And we sincerely hope that you will consider them. And this is where I might be slightly repetitive with what Gail has said. The first one is just on the height restrictions. And this is the most important bit of feedback from us, because while it's important to restrict plant height to ensure visibility, among other things, we, like Gail, believe that the restriction should be raised from 60 centimeters to 1 meter. And the simple reason for this is that most of our iconic, beautiful, drought-resistant keystone pollinator plants achieve heights that are significantly greater than 60 centimeters. And so even with careful pruning, many would not flower at the 60 centimeter height. Included in this, Gail's already listed some, are all native species of coneflower, which are very popular, crowd-pleasing plants, including purple coneflower, echinacea, foxglove beard tongue, liatris, all asters, evening primrose, all native sunflowers, and many others. And of course, some of those plants achieve heights that are greater than 1 meter in nature, but as Gail said, they could be cut back in half by late June or early July to be kept under 1 meter, to stick within that guideline. But chopping them multiple times to achieve 60 centimeters would inhibit their ability to flower, which would, you could end up just having a bunch of green without too many flowers in there. So we believe that this simple amendment would still protect sightlines and keep plants looking relatively tidy while allowing for a much greater diversity of beautiful keystone pollinator plants in boulevard gardens. And it's also worth noting, as Gail already has noted, that the most drought-resistant plants are often the tallest by nature, because greater height above ground allows for greater depth of root growth, allowing plants to reach water deeper into the soil, which also incidentally improves carbon storage and stormwater control. A height limit of 1 meter is consistent with both the Mississauga and Wasaga Beach Boulevard Garden policies, and Thunder Bay also recently amended the 60 centimeter restriction that was in their proposed bylaw to 1 meter in light of similar concerns. So that's the most important thing for us. And then secondly, is with regard to ensuring that boulevard gardening is accessible to all. We don't oppose a permitting fee. We understand why you'd want to do that, but we would suggest, if possible, that this be a one-time fee rather than an annual fee, because for some residents that have greater financial need, committing to an annual fee might be a bit daunting. And also collecting annual fees would also place a greater administrative burden on the township. So we would recommend changing the fee from annual to one-time if possible, to allow more residents the ability to participate in helping pollinators through boulevard gardening. So we hope that you'll take those suggestions into consideration. And again, we really thank you for your engagement, for the effort to put this together. And we think it's a really great step forward for Clearview Township.
All right. Thank you very much, Brenna. Are there other members? Come forward.
So I'm Alan Riddle with Clearview. So I'm going to, again, being a little repetitive, but I'm going to talk a bit about the fee. So first, thank you for getting the Boulevard bylaw. I thought implementing it in with the encroachment bylaw was a great way of doing it, but thanks for yours and any other staff's hard work for getting it in to this stage anyways. But the $50 annual fee could be a financial burden that would prevent people who may want to do a garden, they financially can't afford to at the $50. A one-time fee for $50. I mean, if for some reason they couldn't do it, I can tell you that through CSN or other organizations, I'm sure we could come up with a reserve to assist those who can't financially afford it for the one-time fee. But most municipalities, well, first, most municipalities don't charge a fee for it. Those that do, it's a one-time fee. I can understand if the arguments for administrative costs, you shouldn't have to incur the same administrative costs annually. talking to Dan, he said that, well, they were treating it like dog tags, wanting to create a list, giving to the enforcement officers every year. I would think you could just have a continuous list. And if it got long and cumbersome, well, that's a really good problem, I would like to think, you know, so, but yeah, so that's the only point. I'm not going to talk about 60 centimeters again. That's already been addressed. But if, when you're looking at this, if you could consider just removing the word annual and just leaving the $50 fee period as a one-time fee, and then building the list and going from there. Thank you.
Thank you, Alan. Are there other members who wish to speak? Okay, please, okay, just a minute, Jim. We'll let this young lady go ahead first, and then there you go.
Thank you. Just quickly, it doesn't actually make sense to charge an annual fee because once you've planted, these plants are perennials. So they will just come back so if you dig, if you turn over some soil, plant some, then what you have to do is dig it up and, I guess, kill them all again. But also, if someone sells their home and there's perennials in the ground, whatever, they'll come up the next year. You'd have to tell this person that in the new home that they owe you $50, and they say, well, I didn't plant it anyway. There's just a little trouble there. Thanks.
Just before you go away, just to be clear, if you pay a fee,
Yes,
you're the property owner.
yes,
If you sell your home, there's a new property owner,
yes.
and and the new property owner will have to pay the fee, just like any other fees. Like you purchase you pay
Oh,
a
okay,
fee.
I
So
understand.
if you sell your property,
That's
the
fine.
agreement,
Yeah,
the agreement to permit these would be between you as the property owner and the township. If you're no longer part of that agreement because there's a new owner,
that's what I said.
it's a whole new fee,
That you would have to approach this new homeowner, or we'd have to. tell them.
100%.
The point is it's cumbersome. And also, if say someone wants to plant it 1 year and they say, well, I don't want to the next year, but it's going to come up anyway. So what's going to prevent someone from saying, well, I didn't want to plant a garden this year? There happens to be one there, but yeah, anyway, I'm
then it
just
gets-
saying that these are perennials.
Right.
Okay.
All right. Well, whatever. You didn't catch your name up here, by the way. Angelina Stockman. Okay. Nice to meet you, Angelina. Welcome. Jim's on the list. Come right up, Jim.
Jim Campbell from Duntroon, and I just want to thank staff for the great job and for council for looking at this. And I think just on the whole garden thing, the one thing to remember, this isn't a competition to lawns. I think everybody in this room owns a lawnmower. And I had the impression a little bit last time that, it's easy for people to see a change as a threat to something, and this isn't a threat to lawns. It's just something different, to keep that in mind. Second point I wanted to say is Bill 5, I really hope that I've been reading like crazy and going through it, and really hope that council put comments in to the province on that. I think if I was one of you as councillors, I would be really concerned about the loss of municipal strength in that bill, especially with the special economic zones and what that happens. So I'm just hoping that you'll think of all the residents. I know there's a lot of residents out there when it's all coming down so quickly, but anybody I speak to either doesn't know about it, hasn't heard a thing, and when you explain what's going on, they're really concerned. So I just wanted to convey that from the public.
Jim,
Thanks.
you have to wait till October 2026 to sit at this table and make those decisions, okay?
No, thanks.
Are there others who wish to speak? Anybody else? FYI, I'm comfortable to keep public participation going much longer than 15 minutes. So whoever wants to speak, you're welcome to come forward. I'm looking at you, Mr. Mann, who sits over there and always gives us good advice whenever you're here. So nothing today, sir? Okay, thank you, sir. Anybody else? Okay, thank you so much, everyone, for your comments. And I agree with everything you've said in regards to thanking our staff for working on this project and getting this prepared. It has been, as you all know, a long task, and we're glad that it's finally here in front of us. And I look forward to a fulsome debate here from our councilors. All right. Thank you, everyone. All right, we're going to move on in our agenda at this time to some delegations. Now, we do have some fabulous delegations in front of us. Our first one today is the Creemore BIA Business Improvement Area. Sarah is here to and Nancy to talk to us about their budget. So nice to have you here. Again, thank you for being fabulous volunteers with our community.
Just fabulous.
Before I give the microphone over to Sarah, thank you for having us. This budget was originally put in front of you back in January, February.
Written in September
Yeah.
and approved as part of the Clearview Township budget process.
Yes,
Yeah.
and we had to go back and revisit it and move a few things around. We got a big donation and just revisit it. So we're hoping that you've taken a chance to look through it, but.
I'm not sure if you're aware, but the clerk was able to print them off for us with
Thank you.
much larger print.
It's, yeah, it's like.
Because I can't imagine somebody at home.
It's everything in color coded, so I kind of know where to look, but oh, that's wonderful.
I can't imagine somebody at home right now trying to look at
Yeah.
this. Like, come on now. It's available on our website as part of our agenda, so you can download it and have a closer look if you have any concerns. But I appreciate our staff for putting this together for us.
We
So
bring it to our.
go right ahead.
meetings too,
Yeah.
Which is good. Do you have any questions? I'm gonna leave it to.
I can go over some of the things for you to make it even easier to navigate. What I did was highlighted the areas where we're seeing significant changes. Anything that is white is remaining the same. Anything that's highlighted is what we've had to amend. So what we have seen in this year so far in our first quarter was January and February. We saw donations falling down a little differently. So we had a regular donor who reduced the amount that they're giving us this year. And then we had a one-time unexpected donation of $12,000 from the estate of John Harper. And part of the legacy of his involvement with the Santa Claus Parade. So that money has been earmarked to build a new float for the Creemore Santa Claus Parade, which is very exciting. But that did make us want to come to council just to keep you informed because it was a significant change to the expenditures. You'll see that $12,000 from the Santa Claus Parade just find its way down into our events budget where it becomes an expenditure where the design and build for the new float will be. I have to look at my notes here as I can't remember what number 4 is about, but I'm sure it's very good. Other things that have changed are that we have taken much of or a good portion of our retained earnings to put towards the project in conjunction with the Creemore Foundation. So part of the streetscape, we've assumed a third of the cost to pay for the street plan and consultation with ERA and then the final plans with that. We've been holding on to our money for quite a while, working hard to fundraise and we're really happy that we finally have this project. We know that these kind of big projects take cash. So that's why we've been sitting on it for this long. And here we are with a $23,000 spend. And we're assuming that much of our retained earnings will go into helping to implement that project. Other things that have changed are just minor little shifting of money to make it so that at the end of the year, we still have money in the bank. Just a little reduction in maintenance spending, but nothing major other than that. The real big deals were the changes to donations, the spending on the special project, and then a little bit of extra money that is being allocated to social media and website. So with that, you do see that we have quite a deficit, but it's planned for, that's all coming out of retained earnings with over $90,000 in the bank. We're quite confident that we're still being very fiscally responsible. And we think that this money we worked so hard for that our members have given out of their own pockets as part of our association and area are being spent. it well. So we have approval from our board to bring this to council, and we are looking for council's approval so that we can move forward with this budget as our guide.
All right, thank you very much. I have a quick question just in regards to that large expenditure that you're calling special project.
Yeah.
You've got it slated for June, which makes sense. I mean, that's kind of where it's going to be, right?
The reason I slated it for June is because I knew I was coming to see you today. And
Oh, okay.
I'll
Well-
write the check as soon as I get approval from council.
All right, well, that's not a bad,
That's my plan.
that's a good logical reason to do it. No
That's the
problem.
reason it sits there.
Can I ask, I'm sorry, I haven't reviewed your minutes of your meetings closely, but has there been a straight up resolution asking for that change from your board to put that in there, to access reserve funding to put that in there? There's been an actual resolution?
There has been a resolution to approve the revised budget as it sits before you. And prior to that, what we had is a number of resolutions that created so many changes. But we do have a resolution that approved that specific project and our involvement with that.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
I'm just interested, I want to make sure that between the treasurer's office and the CAO, when we meet with the auditors, sometimes these type of resolutions are really important, particularly when it's such a large amount.
Yeah.
So we want to make sure that that is, you know, if we could check with the clerk's department and make sure we have that clearly defined as a resolution.
I don't remember the date. I think that it might have been in March when this kind of came to our attention that we should be
Sure.
taking care of this. Sasha might remember because we've been working with her very closely to ensure when we were making this kind of change, such a significant
Good.
spend. We worked very closely with the clerk's office to make sure that we did it in such a way that we would be compliant, and we really appreciate it.
Yeah.
Because it is something for a small group like us without a lot of experience to navigate these sort of changes. So that's why we're here today.
Yeah, well, listen, you should stand up and say you do have a lot of experience because you've been doing this a while. And so thank you for doing it. It's a good job.
Maybe
a
a little too long, yeah.
That's true. That's very true. I'll open the floor to council. Is there anybody with any questions to the presentation and or the budget? Anybody got any questions? Yeah, Mr. Van Stavert.
Thank you. Thank you, ladies. A quick question. You mentioned about working together with other organizations within Creemore. Who will be in charge of the project?
Nancy can maybe speak to that. So
Project.
the ERA, it's a collaboration between Clearview, the Creemore Village Green, or the Creemore Community Foundation, and the
The
Creemore BIA.
Right, yeah, right now we're just in the committee stage and we're just
Okay.
kind of getting the draft and we're going to present. We're presenting something probably in July to the public to get feedback then. At this point,
So will you be putting together a committee to run it? I just want to make, what I'm asking for is, I want to make sure that nobody gets into a battle that one, you know, has a bigger stick than anybody else.
no, everyone's.
or how that's
working
gonna
hard.
work.
Yeah, everyone's got equal representation in the committee at this point and it's working quite well.
Okay, thank you.
Excellent. I also want to acknowledge that the committee that's working on this project too includes one of our staff members, Patty Kennedy. She's part of that team, so we're glad to have her there. Oh, yeah, that's right. Briar, our economic development community, she's amazing. You know, members of council. Robert, you know what, Robert, you got to meet with me more and let me know. Okay. Anyway, Robert, yeah, do you have a question? Did you have something you want? No, you're good. Anybody else? Marty.
Thank you, your worship. So I'm confused. Which budget are we going with? The negative 25,000 or the negative 2,700?
So we're going with the negative 25,000. Yes, that's the, sorry, I apologize. The recommended revisions, I see where your confusion comes in, but yes, it is going to be the one with the greater deficit.
And you're planning on raising 25,000?
We have the money sitting in the bank.
Well, I know that too, but it says, sort of implies here that you're going to try and raise 25,000 as well.
So what we do is what we say is that we either have a fundraising opportunity or we can pull from retained earnings.
Okay, and one final question. Can you elaborate what this special project is?
So that is, this particular money is allocated just for the study program, but I'll let Nancy speak to that. She's on the committee, or Robert MacArthur. I mean, there's
Yeah,
lots of
there's a
people
whole bunch
involved,
of
but
us that know
Sam
what's going. What was
I
your
do not.
specific question?
wants to know.
Yeah, what specifically is the project?
The Streetscape Committee?
Yeah.
It originated last year. We were looking, I just happened to be talking to Stuart Lazier casually saying, he goes, if there's any projects you want to do? And I said, well, we need streetscape plan. We've got this money that we want to spend to enhance our street, to have people linger longer, a little more excuses to stay and shop and enjoy the new park, et cetera, et cetera. There's no, so we put together a committee that was a third of the foundation, a third of the township and the BIA, and we hired the architectural firm that actually did the park. And what they've done is they've come to town and they've interviewed, oh gosh, it's got to be 30 or 40 people of different, walks of life that have enjoyed the community for anywhere from 5 years to 50 years. And they got a really good idea of what they like about Creemore, what works for Creemore in the downtown, what they'd like to see with Creemore, how it makes them feel, blah, blah, blah. And then they put together a traffic study, and then they started to put a list, a comprehensive list of all the assets that are on the street right now. And then they went back and said, okay, we have a bunch of things we could do. One thing we could do by burying the lines, which is millions of dollars. We could do burying the lines, and we could have, widened sidewalks. We could have little parkettes. Right now we're just in the planning phase, and we've got, so in July, we're looking at July 20th or 22nd, I believe it is a Sunday, we're going to have a public meeting. And at that point, ERA, after the approval from this committee, that we're pretty darn close, that we want to present to the community to see what they feel. It's like, is this something they want to do? They want to see more signage. Like there's no particular wayfinding signs for the parking or for the public toilets. And it's all sorts of things that really we need as a community and the BIA to have it run better and present much better. So that's what we're doing. And right now we're in the final kind of phase to actually go to the public, and then we'll go back to our drawing boards. Well, they will go back to the drawing boards. Okay.
You can ask Robert anytime.
And Robert's on our committee too. He's our township. Yeah.
He's usually out in his field somewhere.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, that's okay.
Okay, that's great. Anything further from members? No? Okay, Mr. CAO, you had something you wanted to bring forward.
Oh, thank you, Your Worship. I was just going to help clarify. Council may recall, it's almost a year ago that we came in here to discuss this committee, but they've been off doing their work. There's been no reporting back. So if some of you have forgotten, it's been about a year since we came in and asked for this process. So that's where we are.
Thank you. All right.
Coming up, I hope you'll all join us. It's September. Oh my gosh, don't wish away the summer. It's June 20th downtown. We have Tara Lightfoot, and we hope to council and staff enjoy the night with us.
Absolutely. Now, please don't go away. Madam Clerk, would you please read a resolution without notice?
Thank you, Your Worship. So the motion on the floor is be resolved that Council of the Township of Clearview hereby approve the amended 2025 BIA budget as presented.
Council, I'll take a mover and seconder. Mr. MacArthur, Mr. Broderick, thank you. Any discussion? Any discussion? No? Seeing none. I'll call the motion. All in favor? That carries unanimous. Well done.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you for being here tonight. Okay, council, moving on. In our agenda, item 5.2, the Creemore Community Foundation. Creemore Village Green. Jeremy Monteso. Good to see you, Jeremy. You're bringing forward a topic that I know we all want to talk about.
A good time?
Always a good time at the village.
Give me 1 second, making sure that's on mute.
Open air alcohol policy. All right.
Okay, so this is my first time presenting in front of council, so thanks everyone for the opportunity to present to you all today. I am presenting a proposal for an open air alcohol policy in Creemore Village Green, the public park space, in the hopes that it is a unique enhancement to Creemore and Clearview Township as a whole. So without further ado, Sasha, if you could just forward the slide, please. Thank you. So the proposal more or less follows the framework of the City of Toronto's successful pilot project from 2023. It was their alcohol in parks program, and it was a pilot project for 12 parks that was successfully implemented and then approved for passing, and I believe 54 parks across Toronto in 2024. So effectively, the proposal or the open air alcohol policy would allow people of legal drinking age to safely consume their own alcohol in the park. So bring unopened alcohol and enjoy it in the park in an informal and casual setting without the need for things like a special event permit, a liquor license from the AGCO, or any physical barriers. One thing of note, just when we were talking about the summer solstice a moment ago, anytime there is sort of a larger, more formal event that is of, for example, municipally significant event like Copper Kettle or summer solstice, all of those parameters based on the event organizer would supersede this more casual open air alcohol policy. So anytime there are physical barriers up, there's sale and service of alcohol, you wouldn't be able to bring your own in and consume it. You'd have to adhere to those event guidelines. What I'm proposing now is an 11 a.m. to 11 p.m. timeframe for when alcohol is permitted in the park. The city of Toronto allowed 5:30 a.m. to 12 midnight, but I think that's probably a bit much here. And if this is something that ultimately does go to next steps, we're more than willing to discuss with Township something a bit more suitable if you think anything needs to be tinkered with. So Sasha, next slide, please. Thank you. So the predicted benefits, I mean, obviously we do have a very versatile and dynamic public park space located in the heart of downtown Toronto, downtown Creemore, not Toronto, that'd be a little ways away. So the way I like to sort of frame this is kind of through the idea of a picnic. So in my 2.5 years managing the space and now as a board member on the Creemore Community Foundation, I'm noticing a lot of younger families sort of come out and enjoy the park for informal and casual settings like picnics. So I think this would be an opportunity to really enhance that setting where rather than getting, ingredients from 100 Mile Store or Foodland or getting takeout from any of our wonderful eateries or establishments and go home in your house or backyard to enjoy a glass of wine and decompress or a beer, you'd be able to walk a couple of minutes from wherever you purchased your takeout and enjoy that in a more sort of scenic park space in downtown Creemore. And I also think that same sort of forward thinking can be applied to tourism as well. People that go out of their way and spend the time to commute to Creemore and enjoy it would be able to sort of decompress and enjoy a public park space in the heart of downtown Creemore. So after an event or after a brewery tour or what have you, they still have a reason to sort of stick around and increase that half day to perhaps a full day outing, if you will. I also think it's a great opportunity for local businesses to at least explore an additional revenue stream where anybody who's offering takeout or 100 Mile Store is another great example of kind of a grocery store. They can offer unopened alcohol, a sort of a picnic package, or you can offer a beer or a bottle of wine to go with your takeout and then enjoy it in Creemore with your friends, families, neighbors, so to speak. And to my knowledge, when looking through the Alcohol and Parks program in City of Toronto, I didn't see anything in this region. So I think not only would it benefit Creemore, but it benefits Clearview as well as sort of a destination. And it kind of positions our area as sort of more forward thinking and an openness to explore change for the positive. Next slide, please, Sasha. So the Creemore Community Foundation, myself and my fellow board members have discussed this, and they are in unanimous approval of exploring this further. Similar to the relationship we have with the township now, it's a public park that was privately funded. Both the township and the foundation have $5 million liability insurance for the park. The Creemore Community Foundation has already gone ahead, just for peace of mind, to get liquor liability insurance. It's $2 million liquor liability insurance in addition to our general liability coverage. I believe it was a little under $500 annually. And in addition to exploring next steps for this, if it does move forward, we would loop in guidelines or verbiage or what have you into our new signage plan. That can include a more central signage in the park. We do need to update our splash pad signage, so making sure the guidelines and parameters are well articulated, like you can't consume alcohol within 2 meters of the splash pad. Ensure that there's wayward signages for both parameters, public washrooms, where you can dispose of your bottles and cans, things of that nature, and also recognize that there needs to be a procedure in place to enforce guidelines and respond to complaints. So we would make sure that there's local law enforcement numbers on our signages. The city of Toronto does have bylaw officers peruse the space frequently or regularly or whatever their terminology was, but they're not stationed there permanently. And I do think that the Creemore Village Green staff has a presence at the park 7 days a week, notably on weekends. So we would certainly be able to monitor the space in addition to signage. And we do also have security cameras, which should hopefully deter unruly behavior. Next signage, please. Sorry, next slide. So in addition to some of those considerations from the foundation, the board has expressed a willingness to review our management agreement. I believe it's a 20-year management agreement, but if this were to go to next steps, we would certainly work with the township on any amendments relating to this that sort of ease or soothe your concerns, so to speak. But just to sort of quickly outline some of the responsibilities the foundation has for that public park space already are things like garbage and general cleanliness, lawn care and splash pad operations, and capital improvements or enhancements, which we've seen a couple already in 2025, like the dancing rabbit sculptures, the chess tables, and a couple more things to come. Next slide, please. So in support of the BIA, they actually brought up this idea as a topic of conversation at a recent board meeting. And when they fielded questions, comments, or concerns to their constituents, it was largely approved in the respect of being able to explore this idea further and the positive impact it could have on the downtown core. They've also expressed a willingness to work with us. So if this goes to next steps, being able to articulate this to the public, that could be having guidelines on the Creemore Village Green and BIA website, social media post, a press release, ads in the Creemore Echo, just to create that awareness and the guidelines around it. And sort of continuing that community thought, they've also expressed a willingness to help us solicit feedback after sort of the peak months in the summer and sort of really get a temperature on its efficacy, if it was well received by the community, by the township, by businesses, and if it had a positive impact. Next slide, please. So the request of Clearview Township today, we are hoping that you would explore the possibility or the feasibility of amending the existing bylaw to designate public area, the Creemore Village Green, for public alcohol consumption. This is on the heels of a provincial amendment made to the 2019 Liquor Control Act that gave the local councils the autonomy and authority to make that change and designate public park spaces for alcohol consumption, and carrying the trend of the liquor liability insurance that the foundation has taken out, that the township would do that as well. Something we've already done mutually with the general liability insurance. And that is it. Thank you so much for letting me sort of walk through our proposed idea for the open air alcohol policy and how it might enhance Creemore and Clearview as a whole.
All right. Thank you very much, Jeremy. Good presentation,
Hey.
and appreciate your enthusiasm on the project. I'll look to council. Do you have any questions to our presenter? Yes, Mr. MacArthur, go ahead.
It's my first question on the alcohol. Are you allowed to go into a restaurant, one of the restaurants, and buy alcohol and then walk out to go to the park?
You would be able to, but it would have to be unopened. So for example, you could go, if you'd go into the Chin Chin wine shop, you'd be able to get a bottle of wine and open it in the park, but you wouldn't be able to carry a glass of wine into the park.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I guess similar to if you're enjoying a glass of wine on a patio, you wouldn't be able to wander about on the street once you've got your glass of wine. Yeah.
All right, thank you. Mr. Walker, I believe is next.
Yeah, thank you, Your Worship. I guess my concern would be policing and looking after it in such a wide open area. You talked about bylaw officers. Clearview does not have the staff in order to deal with that type of patrol.
Yeah.
So how do you feel then that your committee or group would have the authority to police and handle those that have too much, maybe?
Totally, yeah. I mean,
whatever. I mean, that's a concern that I have right off the bat.
Yeah, of course.
You're open space.
Yeah.
You're not confined like a lot of special events permits are confined areas. And one entrance in, one entrance out.
Yeah.
Whereas this is open. So that's my one question, and I have others, but go ahead.
Yeah, of course. So I think when reviewing the successful implementation of the City of Toronto with those bylaw officers, they had taken an education first approach in enforcing those bylaws. So effectively, it would sort of be education, and then for larger complaints or unruly behavior, they would call local law enforcement. So acknowledging that the the time of bylaw enforcement officers is quite scarce and wouldn't be realistic to routinely monitor the park. I'm confident that myself, who's a full-time, who regularly works more than 40 hours and is in the park space 7 days a week, including the weekends, as well as my colleague who's sort of there when I'm not, would be able to monitor the space and sort of take that education first approach, and then ultimately call local law enforcement if needed. That, in addition to guidelines and the parameters clearly articulated on park signage, and hopefully our video surveillance acting as a deterrent as well.
Supplementary, your worship, knowing our OPP and their staff shortage, manpower shortages, I think that's going to be very difficult for them to respond when requested for that support. I just feel that, their plate's full now without that. My second question is, do you feel that you're contributing to underage drinking?
Yeah, I
by
mean,
allowing the openness and we know what children are like. We can go to raid dad's fridge or cupboard and away we go. So now they're given an opportunity to go somewhere and sit.
yeah.
And so I'm just concerned about that as well.
Totally. Yeah, I think it's an interesting idea. I know that was one of the first questions raised when I took this back to my fellow board members on the foundation. And talking through it is, in an odd way, I don't think this impacts underage drinking in any capacity in terms of promoting it, because there's obviously the legal drinking age, which is 19, and this open air alcohol policy wouldn't change the legal drinking age. So it's effectively illegal whether this policy is in place or not. And I think if anything, with clearly articulated guidelines and awareness and video surveillance, I actually think it might act as a deterrent.
All right, thank you, Mr. Walker. Councillor Deneen.
Thank you, Your Worship. Through Your Worship to yourself. I think you should, if this flies, there should be security on site, not just monitoring with cameras and stuff. You should have to look at security, at least for the first season, see how it goes from there. And then they should be the ones that are calling, not yourselves as employees or bylaw officers shouldn't have to call the police. That's just my thoughts. You should have to have security on site. Also, you said there were no other comparables around because nobody else has done this. You've got to think too, Toronto has all kinds of public transit, bus routes. They've got all kinds. You don't have to leave that park in your own personal vehicle. Creemore is not that. I don't know how Uber is down there, but that's another consideration that has to be taken in.
Of course. Yeah.
That's all. That's my thoughts on it.
Yeah, that's a great point. I think that just carries or sort of further speaks to the idea of, I think it's like for gambling where it's know your limit and stay within it or play within it. So I think one thing I was thinking about on these larger events, and I know it's a little different because it's sale and serving of alcohol, but typically like these summer solstice events, a lot of people, because it kicks off the summer, a lot of people are meeting their friends and families or weekenders for the first time, and they're very excited and they're enjoying beer. Anecdotally or speaking with the BIA, there hasn't been too many instances of unruly behavior. So I think if there's at least from my perspective, a general expectation that adults sort of know how to, know their limit and stay within it. But I totally appreciate what you're saying. I totally appreciate it. Yeah.
All right, thank you. Thank you. Is there other members? Oh, Marty, you're up. Sorry.
Thank you, Your Worship. Yeah, I have a few questions here and comments. I know I've been to Amsterdam and in the Rice Museum, they have a big square there.
Okay.
There's probably 40 or 50 shops around this huge square that holds probably 200 or 300 people. They have security on site all the time. I talked to my cousins and they said, yeah, we had to do that because of the negative benefits of having open liquor. And they said most of the time, if you look, it's Canadian tourists that are the rowdy ones. So I'm afraid you might have the same problems here. My concerns are you have the kids' splash pad right there. If I bring my bong, can I smoke that too there, or
we have no
are we
policies in place
encouraging
for-
that as well? There's a shortage of washrooms. Are we encouraging impaired driving? I know like Councillor Deneen said in Toronto, they do have all these public buses, TTC, et cetera. We don't have that in Creemore. I think we're inviting more problems than what we're benefiting from. I don't think the township should have to pay extra for insurance. I don't think the township is benefiting, and I don't think our bylaw officers should have to be there. So those are my comments. We're already short on washrooms. We haven't got public ones open all the time yet, so I just can't see this being a benefit.
Okay, thank you very much. I didn't hear a question in there, so I'll just move on to this side of the table. Mr. Van Staveren, you're up.
Thank you, Your Worship. Jeremy, I'll say it's always good to be forward thinking, but we'll throw a few ideas at you. Last couple of years, or we'll say last year, we were very much challenged as a council in dealing with the sidewalk bylaws in Creemore. And we came to a compromise, similar to what we're doing with the pollinator, the pollinator gardens. Is this really going to help our restaurants in Creemore who are trying to encourage people to sit down, have a meal, have a drink? Is it really going to help? Have we heard from those people at all?
Yeah, so it was, I don't know what the proper terminology is, but it was, an agenda item at a recent BIA, board meeting or town hall or sorry, whatever it is. And several businesses did come out, and they were largely in favor of exploring it with the caveat of after the busy summer months, being able to solicit feedback from the general public and from businesses to see, if it had any measurable positive or negative impact on their business.
Okay, so you have engaged our residents or
Yes.
restaurants down there? Okay. And I always remind people, we can always use special events permits, like you mentioned, the solstice and stuff like that. Obviously, that can be supported. One of my big things is your comment about adding host liability insurance. We as a council cannot make our constituents liable. And so I think we'll send you back to possibly see if there's a way to make sure, like we're looking at all our options. Did you guys assume full liability?
Yep.
And because I can tell you there's no appetite from this council to take on any more liability than we already have. Okay. We don't, as mentioned for our previous counselors, we do not have staff. And so my question is, you heard the comment, is the foundation willing to pay for enforcement?
That would be something I'd have to circle back with them at. I know they've expressed a willingness to, for things like the host liquor liability insurance that they've already covered, and pay or contribute financially to enhancements of the park space. So I'm also optimistic they'd have at the very least an open mind towards it. To what extent or what sort of limitation, I'm not sure. So my answer would tentatively be yes, but to what extent,
Okay.
I'm unsure.
Good. These are all ideas we're throwing back and forth.
Yeah, of course,
forth
yeah.
here. And because I know for one, when I was president of minor hockey and I dealt with the liquor board and the liability I took on, I went and got extra insurance for myself because I don't want to be responsible for the actions of a few. And that's all it takes is a few. One of my concerns too is spending time around the pool in the summers and the winters. I don't want to see a glass bottle. And so these are the ideas where you have young kids walking around, you got the splash pad there, and all we need is one bottle to create an incident. And it's like, so another idea for discussion. Touched on early, Station on the Green doesn't want more people in their bathrooms. That's why we are having to look at it. So, and I won't say we don't want to see the businesses be laden with their people coming in. Can we use your bathrooms and everything else? I mean, Nancy's here tonight. I don't think she wants everybody knocking on her door and saying, hey, I need your bathroom sort of thing. So anyways, these are things we have to talk some more about. Great idea, but there is a lot of issues we have to reconcile before
Absolutely. Yeah.
we come forward with it. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Robert, do you have anything? And John?
Yeah, I'm just
ahead.
wondering if you give any discussions, like you're figuring doing this 7 days a week, 11 to 11, like I'm wondering for the first year under a trial basis, we might do, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, or do parts.
The idea was
Parts.
7 days a week simply for consistency, so people would understand the parameters and there wouldn't be any different parameters on different days sort of thing.
Yeah.
But like I said, there's certainly a willingness to sort of tinker with that idea based on what township
Yeah, like
feels
I'm just
appropriate.
thinking, as far as you and your maintenance guy, you might get burned out trying to police that place 12 hours a day, 7 days a week. So, or if you have to if we want you to pay for security, then maybe 3 or 4 days would be feasible rather than 7. So.
Yeah, completely understandable. Yeah.
Thank you, Robert. John, did you have anything you want to add? All right, thank you. I want you to know I'm pleased with your presentation. I'm pleased that you're looking forward to creating other opportunities to bring enjoyment to the park, perhaps. I think that you've heard from members of council that have some concerns, and I appreciate that. I do say, and I will say that we know our community pretty well. And I've been to some fabulous events in Creemore where there is no liquor license, but everybody's got their traveler. And I'm not, trying to discourage that. I'm not trying to say that it's a practice that's been going on for years. Certainly those that are involved with law enforcement, they're very aware of it too. So, sorry to say, Jeremy, I think you've created a problem here by bringing this attention. So let's try to work around that and try to work forward. And I think that we can, perhaps as a council and as a community here, as staff, perhaps do a little bit of research into it and see if there is opportunity for us to do that and maybe get an understanding about what kind of cost might be involved. And that might help your organization understand what the partnership is as far as our memorandum of understanding.
Yeah.
So I would ask you to just stand by. We'll see if we can get any further information for council to make well-informed decisions. So in anticipation of this discussion, the clerk has prepared a little bit of a motion. I'll put it on the floor. I'll ask for a mover and second, and then we can have a discussion about what's in the resolution. So Madam Clerk, if you could read the resolution without notice.
Thank you, Worship. So the motion would read, be it resolved that Council of the Township of Clearview hereby direct staff to investigate permitting open alcohol at the Creemore Village Green, including any updates that would be required to the property management agreement with the Creemore Community Foundation, and report back to council.
So the motion is looking for a report back to council from our staff, which would give our community a little bit of understanding about what this would look like. Can I ask, is there going to be a mover and seconder? Mr. Broderick, thank you. Is there going to be a seconder? Yes, Paul Van Staveren, thank you very much. Council, do you have anything you want to add to the recommendation to ask staff to investigate this? Don't worry, Mr. CIO, I'm coming to you in a minute. Members of staff or council, you got anything? No? Okay. Mr. CIO, this additional workload to create this, we can handle this within our own staff. We're not going to be looking to hire a consultant to figure this out, are we?
You mean to research this?
Yeah, to do the research on it and find out what the cost might be. I mean, this is one project that we didn't sort of have in our work plan right now. So I'm just thinking, how we are going to handle that.
Yeah, no, Your Worship, I think we could handle it. I think one of the first obstacles that we would have to overcome really relates to our insurance.
Yeah.
Because they would tell us what conditions that we would have to have in place, and they wouldn't insure us unless those conditions are in place. So I would suggest that let's find out what that might be from them. And if that's something that can be managed, then it may make a decision easier. If it's something that's not manageable, it might make the decision easier. So to
Totally.
speak.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and I can only speak to what it cost the foundation for the space, and I know it was a little under $500 for the year, and I totally appreciate that. Even with the same provider or whatever, it could be a totally different thing for the township. There's a reason I didn't go into insurance. So,
okay,
yeah.
I understand. Okay, thank you, Mr. CAO. I'm glad that the council has confidence that the staff can take on this additional work. Madam Clerk.
Thank you, Worship, through you to the public and the rest of council. Jeremy did approach staff early on in his investigation of this proposal to council, because he does know that we do have a management agreement. So he wanted to talk to staff first of how he should approach council and how to speak to the management agreement, because he did know that there would be some onus on the Creemore Community Foundation and in support of this. So.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll find out. Members of council, there's a motion in front of us. I am prepared to call the motion. Those in favor? Are there those opposed? Thank you. That will carry, and so we'll ask for council to produce that report, an investigation report. Perhaps, Mr. CAO, can we put some heat on it? Maybe see if we can get it done by the end of June? I'm just thinking of the season.
I'll put some heat on it.
Thank you. Now, before you go, Jeremy, I want to take a moment and just address one thing that was, you did mention, and it was also mentioned by staff here, and that's the washrooms.
Mhm.
And I know Terry's here. Terry, could you just give us all a little bit of an update on what the status is on the trailer that we purchased and the deployment of that trailer at the Station on the Green Village Park?
Yes, thank you, Your Worship. Yes, we were able to install the new portable washroom just in time for the weekend there on Friday. We actually installed it a couple weeks ago, but unfortunately we had a bit of an incident with the trailer. One of the water pumps caught on fire. And our staff miraculously was able to get there just in time and found it. So we saved the trailer, thank God. But it's been repaired, it's been put back on site. We've had, as you know, Your Worship, I shared with council, we are presently not locking the doors. We have our cameras set up and we've had some good success within the last 2 weekends that we actually had it open. So far so good. We do have, this is new to us, these portable washrooms, and we have these little tweaks that we have to do as we move forward for signage and water quality and that kind of stuff, but we're working through it. And I think the public seems to be very receptive to them. And so far so good. We're going to monitor it very closely and hopefully it's a success.
Okay, thank you very much. Jeremy, have you noticed people using them just by
Yeah,
chance?
well, I mean, like Terry alluded to, it was perfect timing on Friday, May 23rd. So what is that? 2 or 3 days ago, we hosted a trivia in the park,
Yeah.
and we had about 125 people there. And those were the only washrooms open, and it worked fantastic. No complaints. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
well, that's great. Well, thank you. It was a bit of a difficult decision, but council moved on that project. And so we have them here in Stayner, we have them in Creemore, and we have another unit in Ottawa, which is helping us with our baseball operations over there. So they're pretty good.
Yeah.
Okay, I just wanted to sort of keep this topic moving because
Totally.
I thought it was a good one. So thank you very much
Yeah.
for your presentation
Yeah.
today, Jer.
Thank you for taking the time, council. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, members of council, we're going to move to I guess that's the end of our delegations and presentations at this time. So we can move to item number 7, which is the approval of the council meeting minutes. Be it resolved that council of the township of Clearview hereby approve the minutes of the May 12th, 2025 council meeting as presented. I'll look for the mover on that. Mr. Walker, thank you. Mr. Beelan, thank you. And is there any questions on the agenda? Okay, I do have one thing, and that is to the clerk's department. The event that we attended was called the Civic Prayer Breakfast, not the Civil Prayer Breakfast. It was a civil event. Yes, it was, but it was called the Civic Prayer Breakfast, just a line you want to remember. Thank you. If there's nothing further, I'll call the motion. All in favor? And that carries unanimous. Thank you. And now we're going to move on to our correspondence items. And we do have item number 8.1, which is from our in-camera meeting. I do have a resolution to read. I'll look for a mover and seconder. Recommendation be it resolved that council of the township of Clearview hereby direct staff to act in accordance with the direction provided in closed session regarding the Klondike Park Road well site reservoir and pumping station project. Mr. Walker, Mr. Beelan again, thank you. Any questions? Seeing none, I'll call the motion. All in favor? That carries unanimous. Thank you very much. Council, on your agenda for 8.2, we've got Protect Ontario and Building Faster and Smarter. This is Bill 17, not Bill 5. And then we also have a release from the county about licensed childcare spaces in our community and across the entire region. That's a very interesting and exciting program because they've now identified areas here in Clearview Township in that area. You go to their website and you can see the dashboard on that. It's very interesting to see that information. Do you have anything you want to add to those two items?
I sort of touched on it previously. Simcoe County is spearheading all this with the daycare. We have we have opportunities within schools. We have private, we have county daycares, not for profits. The province has finally recognized the Clearview Township. I think we've got 47 spaces that we were delegated, I think was the number. And we are looking forward to the coming years. The government has really identified the need for childcare spaces. The other thing is, please look at the dashboard. It is a great site that's up and running now to see what's available. It will tell you if you're in search of childcare it will tell you where ones are available within your community and beyond. So that's good. I'll just talk briefly on the building faster and smarter. June 11th is the date. Everybody has an opportunity to comment on it with the provincial registry. And please do so. It's something that it's going to take some beating up, obviously, but Mr. Ford and company is really working to try and build homes. So there will be a lot of negotiations going on with this component.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Any questions on those? All right. Thank you, members of council. At this time, we're going to go to our ward reports. Mr. Walker, I have the arrow pointed directly at you this time. You're starting us off.
Wow, get to go first.
All right.
First of all, I just want to say, thank the Stainer Siskins for a good season. And also the Stainer Siskins this year unveiled a new award. They, Barney Parker Lifetime Siskin Award. And if those that are lifelong residents Stainer know who Donnie Parker is, recognizing extraordinary long-time commitment and service to the Siskin organization. And this year, the first winner was Don Barney Parker, who has been with the Siskins since 1972. He's the first coach, or first captain. He also was instrumental in the name of the Stainer Siskins organization, and he has been on the board ever since. That's 53 years he's been tied up with the Stainer Siskins organization. So I just want to say congratulations to Don Barney Parker in receiving this award, and a great honor that the Siskins have named that award after him for his longtime commitment to the Siskin organization. On May 13th, had accessibility meeting. We did a walkthrough of the Sundale Corners Hall and found a few things not working, but that has been passed on. And also just remind, Accessibility Week is May 25th to the 31st. On the 15th, we attended the Foodland opening. Also on the 15th, the Tulip Festival. And on May 20th, the library board meeting. And unfortunately, we were only able to receive approval for one summer job this year instead of two. But we will move on. We have a meeting on the 28th. And then also want to say that Creemore Library on the 30th, Glenda's retirement at the Creemore branch, 11 to 1 and 2 to 5 on Friday, May 30th. Thank you, Your Worship.
Thank you. I'll definitely be there for Glenda's retirement, who's been a terrific asset to our library. Go ahead there, Mr. Beelan.
Thank you, Your Worship. May the 15th, I was the MC at the Tulip Days Festival, and I have to say we had a very nice crowd. The weather was great, and the food and the speakers were fantastic. I thought it was a great event. That evening at 6 p.m., the Station on the Green had a meeting. We have replaced the toilets in the washrooms that were broken. That's replaced ahead of schedule. I know we're going to do that with the bathroom renovations, but since they weren't working, we replaced them. May 17th, I attended the Creemore Cadet Corps new flag ceremony. I did this on behalf of the mayor and the township, and I was able to present Clearview certificate and congratulations. What else did I do? May 21st, I attended the Stainer Heritage Society annual AGM. I really enjoyed the guest speaker, Rita McCourt. She talked about the liberation of the Netherlands, and she did a fantastic job. And then on Saturday, I happened to be in Kitchener, and I'm saying this because of all the people here about the pollinator gardens. On Saturday, I happened to be in Kitchener for a wedding, and I had the whole morning with nothing to do, so I took my grandkids to the Butterfly Conservatory. If you've never been there, it's a great place to visit. You can learn about butterflies, bees, birds, spiders, beetles, all kinds of stuff. They keep it very warm in there, 30 degrees Celsius, and it's very humid, 80% in there. So you got to dress accordingly, not like I did, because you end up having to strip down in front of everybody. But anyways, it's a great place to visit. And I did notice out front, they're hundreds of yards away from the road. So these aren't boulevard pollinator gardens. There was a pollinator garden on the left with tall plants, and there was a boulevard garden on the right with smaller plants. And it said recommended plants for when you have a height restriction. So I thought it was kind of neat. So there's a lot to learn there. And that's that.
Well, thank you. I can just see you in the 30-degree temperature. I'm sure you enjoyed that. Councillor Deneen.
Thank you, Your Worship. I too attended the Tulip Days and thoroughly enjoyed that. It was really, really nice, and I'd like to thank the Clearview Stainer Horticultural Society for that. The life experiences and the immigrant stories of the Dutch immigrants were really, really interesting and really hit home. I just want to say too that our scrap metal drive is over now at the Nottawa Hall. Thank you to Huronia Auto Wreckers and Recycling. We managed to raise $1,956.34 plus Councillor Beelan's donation. And we rehomed at very least about 50 bicycles. And those bicycles were on all shapes, forms, and states of repair. So people were taking pieces and bits and repurposing things. We even repurposed a metal door, if you can imagine. Somebody managed to repurpose that. So it was a really, really good experience again this year, even though we had a really late start to it. I think it was a success, and thanks to everybody in the community. Thank you.
Thank you. And what's the name of the company that helped us with that?
Huronia Auto Wreckers and Recycling.
Excellent. Good job. Thank you very much. Deputy Mayor, would you like to go?
Thank you, Your Worship. So was mentioned earlier on May 15th, I had the opportunity to represent the mayor who was on two events on that day. The first one was the grand opening of the Foodland, and Tyson and family and the staff gave us quite a nice warm welcoming, even at 7:30 in the morning. And of course, at 8 o'clock, the doors opened and everybody came rushing in. Talking with the people from head office and stuff, we thanked them for coming to our community, investing in our community. And I said, just stay tuned. There'll be a lot more people coming your way to help support it. But it's a great opportunity. And the franchisee was the individual who was running the franchise store here in Stainer already. At 11:30 in the morning, we went to the Tulip Festival. And as everybody said, that was a great event. For those who don't know, this is the 80th year of the liberation of the Netherlands. So we've had 2 years in a row where we've had opportunity to lean on that heritage. Next year will be another story. We also had anniversaries of the aviation, we'll say we had a flyover and stuff like that. A lot of positive things. The one thing I want to bring to attention, we had Casey Colby from well, I'll call it the VR News, but CFTO. And Casey happened to come up to me afterwards. He interviewed my wife first, and then he came up to speak. And what's he wearing but Judy Walker's cowboy hat? And I said, I know where you got that from, but I'm not sure how you got it. So anyways, he's laughing. And I also gave him the Horticultural Society had crocheted some roses, some red roses. So I stuck it on his and I gave it to him to stick on. That night, I watched the news, and Casey was talking about, he did a little short blurb on Clearview and Stainer. And when he did the weather report, he did 4 little blurbs. And the first one, he was just himself. The second one, he wore Judy Walker's hat. The third one, he wrote Judy Walker's hat and the rose. And the fourth one, he was back to normal. But when he did his blurb, he interviewed my wife for 4 or 5 minutes, and all he could pick up on was Olibola, because my wife explained to him that the net definition of Olibola is oil ball. It's a donut sort of thing. So, yeah. So anyways, it was quite, we did get some PR out of that one. This past Saturday, the CAO, Mr. Ferguson, and his wife, and the mayor and his wife, and my wife and myself attended the Kinsman Life Membership presentation for Ken Rollings and Randy Bonham. So congratulations to them. We had our provincial representative there, Brian Saunderson. Our MP was not able to attend because he's obviously getting ready for the opening of Parliament today or tomorrow with the speech from the throne, but he had representatives there. So very well attended. Congratulations to the Kinsman Club, who continue to be strong community members and give a lot to this community. So thank you very much.
Great points. Thank you very much for that. Mr. MacArthur.
Thank you, Your Worship. Promoting it all spring, but we finally had on May 17th, the opening of the Creamhorse Farmers Market and the log cabin ceremonies opening, and Of course, the weather didn't cooperate real great. Well, it did up till about 12 o'clock and then there was the mad dash. But anyway, lots of people around and good time had by all. May 22nd, we had a streetscapes meeting, which you heard Nancy and talking a bit about, and it's all starting to come together with hopefully a plan coming to the public here in July. And May 24th, Saturday, the Creemore Coyotes had a cornhole tournament as a fundraiser at the Creemore Arena. And that was a great time. I didn't realize cornhole was such a serious game with phone apps, and I thought, yes, I know. Yeah, first thing we were told, you got to download an app to play this game. Okay, so anyway, we got through. We didn't finish last, so we were happy with that. Thanks.
Well done. Well done. And Mr. Broderick.
Thank you, Your Worship. May the 15th, attended the Stainer Foodland ribbon cutting. May the 20th, attended the library board meeting. Also, May the 20th, attended the Clearview Chamber of Commerce members meeting. And May 22nd, attended the Simcoe County Conference at Casino Rama. That's it.
Well, thank you very much. Good job. First of all, I want to say too that thank you everyone who participated and represented the township on behalf of myself. It's actually great to have a little vacation time to get away, and it's also great to come back to this beautiful community. Believe me, when you go and visit another town and you come back, you go, man, it's nice to be home, and it's nice to see we have a beautiful place. So I rolled in here on Sunday and it was rainy, but it was just wonderful to be here. So it was great. So thank you, everyone. First of all, I want to mention Foodland. You know, the Foodland opening has, to me, it really set the stage for something quite big. The folks at Rock 95 talked about it for about 20 minutes in two different segments. I heard about it on Rock 95. I was like, that was really cool. They were really chatting up the new Foodland store in Stainer and talked about, how we really need that. And it's just a beautiful spot. So I was impressed with that. I don't know who these folks are. They must live over here or something. Cause anyway, so Rock 95 were chatting it up about Foodland. And so I thought that was great. And about the Tulip Festival, thank you to Councillor Beelan, Marty, and the Deputy Mayor and everyone else who attended. I also want to give a thanks to former Mayor Chris Vandercruz, who of course is well known as the Oli Boli master. He makes the Oli Boli. He made 900 and I didn't get one, but nevertheless, it was fantastic. It's always great to see Mayor Vandercruz continue to participate in our community. He's a very active part of our Brentwood Hall Board, and I'm just glad that he continues to do that. It was a tradition that was started, and boy, I'm sure glad he does it because I'm not going to bake Oli Bolis. I'm sorry, I barely bake cookies. Anyway. Also, I want to acknowledge the Elmvale Classic Aircraft Foundation for their participation in the event as well. That's another great organization in our community with volunteers from all over Ontario that come to Clearview Township, and they do a great job over there. I will mention the Simcoe County Conference. I really enjoyed the conference. I thought it was very valuable information, and it was good to see the networking that was going on between municipalities too. As you know, the mayor and deputy mayor, we attend county council, so we get to know the mayors and deputy mayors from other towns. But it was nice to meet some CAOs, nice to meet some councilors, nice to meet some other clerks. So there was it was really good to see a lot of the local politicians from and those that serve in the municipal sector all coming together to talk about common projects and commonalities between us as municipalities. A big congratulations goes out to our clerk and our deputy clerk who put on part of a show along with the members from TAY. They did a great job to talk about the challenges and the ups and downs and the change of mindset that you have to do when you're a municipality when you take on ownership of a cemetery. So we as Clearview, we have taken on some cemeteries. It just sounds like simple paperwork crossing the table to say we own it, but the clerk will tell you, it's a lot of work. Our deputy clerk is very much involved in it, and so it is a lot of work for our municipalities. And I'm thankful that they brought this forward to the Simcoe County Conference because there were a lot of municipalities there that were dealing with similar kind of situations, and I think council, we're going to try to get a delegation at the AMO conference to bring forward some of these challenges and see if we can work that out. So well done, Madam Clerk. And the last thing I do want to mention is the Kinsman Club. First of all, the Kinsman Club of Stayner, one of the finest organizations in this community that continue to support our community. When the community is in need, they're immediately there. They have all the resources that they need to pull it together. They have great friendship and fellowship between their families and their individual members. And it was just an honor to be there to recognize two very, very fine kin members who have reached the status of life membership. So we're really, really pleased to be there. It was a really nice event. And it's just great to see how our community has wonderful volunteers. So you guys know that I talk about volunteers a lot, but it really struck me what a great group of people they are when they've been serving this community for over 45 years, these two gentlemen, and some longer than that, in fact. So it was a really good event. It was great to be there with you, Deputy Mayor. And by the way, for Councillor Broderick, it was great to be at the Shrine Club. Shrine Club was looking great and it looked really good. I talked to a couple of your Shriner fellow Shriners, and they say the facility is really busy. They've got a lot of things going on there and bingo, and it's sort of out of the way. I don't see it go to that place very often, but it was nice to hear that the place is really busy. So good to hear. Anyway, looking forward to our council meeting tomorrow at County Council. We've got a lot of things on the agenda for tomorrow, and we've got a lot of things ahead of us here in the next 10 days. So let's get moving. All right, council, we've got to move on in our agenda at this time, unless there's anything else. Have we forgot anything? Okay. Let's move on. Item number 10 is our department reports. First one is Planning and Building Department. We have, hey, how are you? Delegated approval, let's see. Be it resolved that Council of the Township of Clearview hereby receive report PB 019-2025 delegated and other Planning Act approval summary for May 2025. It's dated May 26, 2025 for information. Can I have a mover and second? Mr. Walker, Ms. Deneen, thank you. And would you like to give us a fine presentation on the delegated authorities?
There we go. I have nothing to add, but I'm happy to answer any questions.
All right. Well, thank you so much. Members of council, do you have any questions? No? Colin's here. He's ready to answer questions. What's your favorite delegated authority?
I think site plan's the most interesting.
Okay, there you go. See, that's not bad. I figured we better get a question to him anyway. He came in here at the meeting. All right, members of council, you have nothing further to add? All right. Thanks very much for being here. Members of council, you have a motion in front of you, and I'm prepared to read or call the motion. All those in favor? That carries unanimous. Well done. Site plan approval. Apparently that's it. All right, moving on to our Public Works Department. We have the purchase of a used transit bus. Not something that we generally do, but this is a great opportunity. So Dan, we're going to hear from you in a minute. Be it resolved that Council of the Township of Clearview hereby receive report PW 009-2025, the purchase of a used transit bus dated May 26, 2025. Item 1, the council approved the purchase of a used bus from MSL at Smallmer Services Limited in the amount of $60,000 plus HST. And item 2, that the purchase be funded from the provincial gas tax reserve. Mover and seconder, Mr. Broderick, Mr. Deputy Mayor, thank you very much. Dan, we don't usually buy used transit buses. Why don't you tell us why this is on your agenda?
Thank you, Worship, and something that I've learned, well, looking for a bus is it's just about as hard to buy a transit bus as it is to buy a fire engine. The lead time on a transit bus is 2 years plus. In the research that I've done, but we're in dire need of something. We've reached out to some sources, and we're put on to this this bus that's in Toronto. It's a bit older, but has very low kilometers on it. It's a very well maintained bus, and we're recommending to purchase it to supplement our 2019 bus, which is being run pretty much full time. It has no time to be down for repairs. And when it is, you know, we've been using a variety of different things, a school bus and a fully accessible transit bus as well is used as a spare. So this will extend the life of the 2019 while being also a good backup or be the main one perhaps for some time, because the 2019 bus does need some tender loving care. So with the two operating, will buy us a bit extra time while we put the plans together for another bus, another new bus, which will be at about 2.5 years from now.
Through your worship, just to Dan. Dan, do we do preventive maintenance, like an annual rust proofing on these? Just out of curiosity, to extend a little bit of life.
Through your worship to Councillor Deneen. Yeah, certainly with all our buses or transit buses, we do rust proofing. The records that we received from this used bus is that they've done it as well. And we'll continue to maintain that way. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
All right. The deputy mayor's question too.
Dan, thank you. For discussion purposes, what is a new bus worth?
Through your worship, through the deputy mayor, the last bus we purchased, which was the Overland, the Ford E450, I believe that was about $190,000. We bought it in conjunction with Wasaga Beach. Wasaga Beach had a tender at the time. What I've been looking at for newer buses, we're in and about $350,000 now. So just like everything else, it pretty much doubled in price.
Okay, thank you.
From 2019.
Mr. Beelan.
Thank you, Your Worship. It shows that the bus that you put out of commission had 650,000 kilometers, which to me sounds about right for a diesel before you run into problems. How much is our newer bus, the 2019? How many miles are on it, and how many do we put on in a year approximately? I can't, unless I missed it, I don't see that anywhere.
Sorry, Your Worship, through to Councillor Beelan. Yeah, I'm sorry I didn't include that. I think it was around, it's about 380,000 kilometers on it right now.
So it's about halfway through its life.
It's about half.
Okay.
But like I said, the 2020 or the 2017 bus, when it was put out of commission in 2024, it was supplementing the newer bus. So they were switching off for maintenance. Since 2024, when we had to take that out of service, Transit 2, the 2019, didn't have that sort of spare bus to take it off of, take it out of service for that regular ongoing maintenance. So it's been driven a bit harder in the last year.
So we don't know how many miles per year about, or how many?
If we do the math, 5 years, 350,000, so 370,000. So
okay,
whatever that math equates to.
It's a lot of Ks.
So we're going to need a new bus in 5 years anyway.
We're going to need a new bus before that. Yeah. All right. Members of council, anything further? Yes, Mr. Walker.
Thank you, Worship. To Dan, sole purpose of this is a backup. Is there an opportunity to look at our bus route and eliminate the trips to Wasaga Beach and use the county bus, saving ourselves a little bit of mileage and wear and tear on our own, and just do our bus for inside stainer only?
Thank you, through your worship, to Councillor Walker. It's certainly something. So if you recall, back at budget time, I had indicated that that's something that I wanted to look at this year. Look at our routes, look at our transit system, knowing that new developments have come on board. So we're in the midst, with the help of our operations technologist. He's doing some research on I'll say a small study, just to help from a consultant to see what best way to optimize our routes are, or to optimize our route. But it's definitely something that I've spoke with the county on several occasions. The trouble that I think that we would have is, and maybe it's not trouble at all, but if you recall, the Lynx bus does not go up to Wasaga. It does not operate on the weekends, and our transit system does. So perhaps there's a hybrid way to do that, is that, you know, our transit system could work within Stainer only Monday to Friday, and then do the full route, I'll call it, up to Wasaga Beach on the weekends in the interim, while Lynx does operate that system, and maybe it does grow into a weekend route as well. But those are all the options that we're looking at, and like I said, you know, adjusting our route a bit to be able to capture some of our newer development, newer commercial development, and some more of our southern areas of the municipality down off Margaret Street and that.
I'm going to supplement that question. I believe you're going to have an immediate concern to get the transit service running into the new commercial development Foodland area. You're going to need that sooner than later. So can you give us a bit of an idea as to when we're going to be approving new transit routes?
Thank you, Worship. And don't quote me on this, but I think informally, the bus is going into the Foodland.
Yeah.
So it's not an official route, but the transit drivers are going in there. One of the issues that we've seen is that there's no sidewalk. There's no sidewalk for an area for people to be dropped off. So we will have to approach the property owner to allow permission for the bus to enter onto private property to pick up and drop off riders. I don't think it's going to be an issue, but that is one thing that we'll need to do to formalize that, and investigate the need for a formal bus stop on either Grand Trunk Road or Junction Road, one or the
Right.
other. So
Okay.
informally, I think it's being done now. It just we'll formalize that.
I appreciate our transit drivers. I know that they're doing their best to provide a service, so I appreciate what they're doing. I would suggest, however, that you know, if we have issues with concrete areas for people to get on and get off, or an actual bus stop location, should that not be covered in a site plan? I'm getting some nods from our fabulous planning department. So yeah, let's just make sure that we always consider those. Transit's going to continue to be a bigger and bigger concern in this community. So let's make sure that we always include that. Thank you. Members of council, anything further? Okay. Look forward to seeing our new bus with our nice correct logo on it. Members of council, there's a motion in front of us. I'm prepared to call the motion. All those in favor? That carries unanimous. Thank you. All right, council, moving on to the next page. This is the encroachment bylaw regarding Boulevard Gardens. There's two appendices attached to this, council, so you need those for reference as part of this motion. I'll read the recommendation. Be it resolved that council of the Township of Clearview hereby receive report PW 010-2025 encroachment bylaw update Boulevard Gardens dated May 26, 2025. Item 1, the council supports the new updated encroachment bylaw that includes regulations for Boulevard Gardens on public lands as outlined in Appendix B to this report. And item 2, that council directs staff to present the final bylaw for approval at the June 2nd, 2025 meeting, coming into effect once the township fees and charges bylaw has been amended to include permit fees for Boulevard Gardens. Mover and seconder on this motion. Deneen, thank you. And Broderick, thank you. All right, council. We're going to go to Dan for a minute just to hear what he has to say. I know he's had some input from a couple of the senior managers, but Dan, let's just say you've been sort of leading this this project. Is there any highlights you'd like to bring forward to council before we open for questions?
Thank you, Your Worship. And I know a lot of the residents that were standing up speaking today looked over this way for applaud to myself, but in all reality, Ms. Helmke was very instrumental in both the the bylaw preparation and parts of the report as well. So it was a lot of thought, a lot of thinking how we could present this to the public and to council, the best avenue to go through. We came up with the encroachment bylaw, or sorry, the encroachment piece. In the past, it was an encroachment policy that the municipality had, that if someone were to have a shed or I don't know, driveway that, or maybe not driveway, shed or some sort of object that was on the boulevard or township property, that they could apply to council for a permit or an exemption to allow them to have that. So this in a way, a boulevard garden in a way would be this similar, that the somebody would have a garden that would extend from their property onto the municipal right of way. So that's how that came about, as well as other municipalities do the same thing or similar things as well. So, and then just looking at that section, the Boulevard Gardens section of the bylaw, we took a lot of good information from other municipalities and just incorporated it into ours, that it wouldn't be very cumbersome for residents when they were to look at what the requirements were as far as the conditions of it, and hopefully easy to follow and administer from our end as well. So,
All right.
Happy to answer any questions.
Oh, good. I'm glad. Uh, there are a lot of questions about this for sure. I will say that obviously the intention of this is to create a system whereby we can bring into compliance members of the public who wish to use public lands for garden purposes. Now, you kind of mentioned that in the fact the encroachment. When I read this, I thought of how we have some of our rural residents who have little bus shelters that are put together for their children waiting for a school bus that are right out at the end of the lane. Sometimes it's on our boulevard, sometimes it's just on their own property. Sort of a gray area for sure. Those type of structures, we want to make sure that they are back from snow plows and getting hit by that and so on. And then when we had this discussion with the county about the garbage can change out, the new carts, whether they would be, in the boulevard area, whether they be on the roadway, and the county made it absolutely clear that these need to be on the road, as in the laneway of the driveway of the person's home. So it's not on a boulevard. So there's no encroachment to us because it's actually on a piece of traveled driveway space that's in their road. So their private roadway. So anyway, I'm glad that we finally got to this. And I know we've had a lot of discussion, and at times it's been very heated. And at times there's been, I'm going to just say it, there's been some false information shared, and there's been some very accurate information shared that didn't get captured by everyone. And so the big point to me, Dan, was that we've got a system in place here through this bylaw that now permits a property owner to be in compliance with regulations that we already have about boulevards and how those boulevards act as part of the road infrastructure, and how we can cooperate and collaborate to make them into a usable space for both the private landowner and the public or the public entity, the road authority that runs the roads. So I'm glad that we're here, and thank you very much for the work you, Sasha. I know our CAO has been involved with it. I know he's taken 1,000 phone calls and emails on it. So thank you. I'll open the floor to council if there's any questions. Mr. Van Staveren, you're up first.
Thank you, Your Worship. And Dan, thank you very much for everything. I'd like to say to the public as well, this is our first draft at it. And so this does not mean it'll be etched in stone. We've got to try something. And we've done that before. So this is going to be we'll say our first kick at the cat, whatever happens with the resolution today. Dan, I just asked because we heard a lot of comments tonight about the height restriction on plants. Can you explain where that number came from or the logic of where it came from? Is there something to do with sight lines or anything like that?
Thank you, worship, or your worship through to council or to deputy mayor. The 0.6 was decided, I wouldn't say arbitrarily, but that's something that when we look at intersections specifically, so the height of the plant that is placed in the boulevard in some areas, in some urban areas, I'll say, is actually um, 6 inches higher than, because the curb is 6 inches from the road, so it's a 6 inches plus 0.6, so it's an extra, that's 20 centimeters, 30 centimeters higher than that. So when you take into account with the curb and the height of the planting, that is just below your sight line when you're in a car, you're sitting in a car. That's just below that, so that not only at an intersection but at your driveway, if someone were to put it at their driveway, right up against their driveway, that they could see over those plantings and see a child, a small pet, another car coming down the road. So that height would be a good visual for somebody to see another object on the road potentially if they're backing out of their driveway.
Thank you very much. That explains it to me.
All right, Mr. Beelan.
Thank you, your worship. So I do remember a long time ago, I seen a picture that Jim Campbell actually posted at the one thing where there's an intersection and the plants were really high. And that's what we want to try and avoid. The plants don't overrule the safety, but there's nothing in here about the triangle that's formed at an intersection. I know most places use 7.5 meters, Ottawa used 40 feet, and that's why you wanted the height restriction. I'm wondering if we could maybe amend this so that when you're outside of that triangle, you could grow to be a meter high. And when you're within that triangle, you only go a half a meter high or 0.6 meters. I know when I was at that butterfly conservatory, even the ones that are a meter high, they're not that hard to see through. I could see how they could get too thick, but I'm wondering if we could maybe amend this so that in those intersection triangles, you're only allowed 0.6 meters, and in between that, like when you're nowhere near an intersection, you could grow to be a meter high then. I think that might be a compromise. I'm willing to make an amendment if someone would agree to that. You'd have to define the intersection, so I don't know if we need to send this back to you or not. I don't know.
Can I just interject then? I'll
Yep.
tell you what, we'll accept your amendment without a seconder at this time. Perhaps, Dan, you could help us discuss what some of the technical terms might be of that amendment to assist Mr. Beelan.
Yeah, because I just
And-
noticed on 3.5, it just says something about whether there's a sightline issue and maintenance activities as determined by the Director of Public Works. So it doesn't really say anything about an intersection.
Thank you, your worship, through to Councillor Beelan. So I think what you're referring to is a daylight triangle is what they're called at intersections. So that daylight triangle varies from different road types. So local roads and local roads, typically, I think our standard is about 3 meters by 3 meters. So you measure back from the intersection 3 meters and measure the other way, and that forms your triangle. Unfortunately, a lot of our existing, I'll call it our existing neighborhoods, don't have that triangle built into their property. So right, a lot of our properties that we face with are 90-degree intersections. So we could build that into the.
Well, I'm wondering if we could, and maybe even when they do their plan, or if they go out to inspect it, you could paint a thing on the curb that says, here's how far you're allowed to go. I think 40 feet would make a good, like Ottawa uses, then you don't have to worry about what kind of road it is. 40 feet would be the same for every intersection then, which is more than your 3 meters. And then you could draw a triangle there and say within that, you're only allowed 0.6 meters. Outside of that, you're allowed a meter. 40 feet? That's 100, that's,
That's 30 feet. 10 meters would be 30.
yeah, okay.
Okay. Yeah. So, so, so at local roads, your worship, at local roads, you know, for that purpose, I think I'd be comfortable with 3 by 3 at local, like, I think we'd have to define it from a local road to a local road,
Okay,
which, you know, if we're taking Brenna's, garden for a sample is Mary Street is what I would consider a, collector. So it's a bigger road to a local road. That would be 5 by 5 or 6 by 6 meters at that intersection. The thought was with the 0.6 was it wasn't just height restriction at intersections, but it was also for sight lines for people exiting their driveways. So sort of building in a level of safety for pedestrians or animals or children, you know, those types of things. And more so at sidewalks and things like that, and not so much at Brenna's sample.
okay.
But I'm open to whatever council suggests. We could take that back. That's why the bylaw's not on here tonight, was that I thought there was going to be some discussion on that. And
Okay, I'll tell you what, if I can ask, between Ms. Kennedy and Mr. Patton, if you guys can consult with Dan while we're trying to figure this out, whether those numbers actually work, what that would work. Not that Dan wouldn't do it right. I'm just saying you guys always back him up. So if you guys come up with that, Mr. Beelan, we're going to pause that discussion. We'll go on to other questions and then we'll come back. Okay? Do you have something?
I'd like it looked at, not having it over 2.5 feet where there's a sidewalk. I had toddlers 20 months apart, and one would always be ahead of the stroller on a tricycle. There's balance bikes now. We had a little plastic tractor. There was nothing that my son wanted to do more than to have freedom. And he would have gone out, and he wasn't bad, he was just busy. But he would go up somebody's driveway and then come back. And there's nothing you're going to do when you're looking after the other one to look after that one or stop him in any quick fashion if there was somebody, one, pulling into a driveway, two, coming down the road and he accidentally went out in front of them. They wouldn't be able to see him because of the height. And thirdly, they like to hide in things. And if they got turned around and decided to jump out in front of you and they were facing the wrong way, 3 feet is just too high for that where there's a sidewalk. And that's my opinion of that. Thanks.
All right. Did I see Mr. MacArthur? You had something?
I just want on Marty's point and Dan bringing it up. Oh, he's gone now, about
That's okay.
driveways.
Yeah.
So is there a sightline triangle for driveways specifically?
Amy can answer that question because that falls underneath site plan approval.
So I'm happy to chime in, Your Worship, if you'll allow me. The current zoning bylaw does regulate and define a site triangle. So the current zoning bylaw defines site triangle as being specifically on a corner lot. But zoning bylaws do often define site triangle as not only being pertaining to a corner lot, so intersection of two streets, but it often defines a site triangle as being within a driveway proximity. And so that would help regulate the height of plants, vegetation, structures, that kind of thing, both in proximity to an intersection, a street intersection, and also in proximity to driveways to preserve sightlines, as Dan's pointed out. The current zoning bylaw does, just affirming Dan's sort of guesstimates on the 3-meter triangle measurement. And on road classifications above local, you have a 6-meter measurement for the triangle. And so it is my wish to see the new zoning bylaw consider that site triangle, not only on the corner lot, but also on the intersection setbacks, again, to preserve that visibility. So this conversation can contribute to that broader process and be more widely defined and put into implementation. So just some background there for you.
All right, that's good information. Mr. MacArthur, is that good for you? All right. Other members? Mr. Walker?
Thank you, Your Worship. I'm going to direct this to our fire chief. Under 3.8A, it says any plant material within 1.5 radius of a fire hydrant should be no higher than 15 centimeters. Now, I know 15 centimeters isn't a lot of height, but do you feel that that's an issue? Because below it, under 3.8B, no plant material of any kind shall be planted within a 1 meter radius of a utility structure. And I'm assuming they mean phone boxes, et cetera, as utility structures. I'm assuming that's what you're referring there. I feel that hydrant should be put together with that, and there should be nothing within a 1 meter radius of a fire hydrant, plain and simple. That way it eliminates any potential risk of something growing higher than needs to be.
Chief, you got any experience with that, with a fire hydrant and vegetation growth around it?
Through you, I haven't seen a big concern with that in the township. I don't foresee it becoming an issue at those heights that they've listed.
Okay, then. Thank you very much. Certainly, snow removal is a bigger deal than plant and vegetation material, right? So, thank you, Mr. Walker. Go ahead, one more.
I do. I don't know how to approach this one. What about neighbors?
Yeah.
How do we deal with, what if we got in line to deal with neighborhoods, like the neighbors next adjacent that don't want? How are we going to deal? Is this going to be a bylaw issue? Is this going to be a neighborhood war? How is that process being looked at, or has it been looked at? Because I think it's an issue that could arise. I'm not saying it will, but to me it could arise. And I just feel we need to have something in place beforehand.
Well, I would suggest that mediation by taking open alcohol down to the park would probably be a better idea. That's how we solve things in the township, just saying. But I get your point. Madam Clerk, is there anything that we can do in regards to protection of the rights of neighbors on this?
Thank you, Worship. Senior management and bylaw enforcement did talk about this concept, talked about maybe written in support of your neighboring properties for your application for a permit. But the idea was not to make the permit process so restrictive and not to cause early onset of disagreements between neighbors. Like you said, that would have to be something in its current state that the bylaw is written that they would work out together. But it is a concept that we did discuss, but we decided not to include that in the bylaw.
Mr. Walker, just so you know, the main reason we're here tonight is because the bylaw department received quite a number of complaints, right? And so that's why we're here. So there's no doubt someone will not be happy with this bylaw, much as the same as someone may be happy with this bylaw. Go ahead.
One more thing, Your Worship. Is there an opportunity to do this as a trial for 1 year to see what effects we have from everybody involved with the height restriction, with our neighbors, with our sight lines? Monitor it for a year. As it was mentioned earlier, a living document, we can change it at any point in time. I would like to make that amendment that we put it on a 1 year trial basis with follow-up next year to see how it goes.
Okay, we're going to write that amendment down as well too. Thank you very much. Let's deal with one amendment at a time though, because I haven't put them on the agenda just yet. Is there any further questions to the report? Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, through your mayor, this is to John Ferguson. We talked about identifying the township on their house insurance. That didn't get added in here. Is there a yay or nay? Why?
Mr. Ferguson?
My understanding is that they researched a few other municipalities. Some had previously requested it and had then removed it away. Basically put it in under an encroachment scenario. And when they were doing the review of this one here, they thought they would leave it out, treat it as such. It would be our boulevard, but they have to maintain it in a certain way. So we would actually want to inspect the area to make sure it's free from certain, entrapments, boulders, holes, or stuff like that, just to make sure if somebody does run through it, it's safe. And ultimately, other municipalities don't see it as a huge liability. And from the perspective of somebody getting injured on the site, so we waive that clause of not requiring the homeowner to extend their insurance to the boulevard. Part of it is that, and this could be related to the courts. The courts saw this as often an extension of somebody's property, so they usually mowed for people that would mow their boulevards or mow their sidewalk areas or clear their sidewalk areas. There was a time when everybody used to do that, and they didn't require insurance to do so. And I think that's where it stems from.
All right, Madam Clerk.
Thank you, Worship. CEO Ferguson is correct. In looking at the other bylaws, there wasn't an insurance component included in them. And I think it's because we have the ability, the way this bylaw is written, if there isn't conformity after reaching out to the resident who's used the public lands, the township does have the right to go there and rectify the land, which is what we would want to do in the first place. We would want to bring it back to a safe space, public space. So insurance doesn't mean much in that sense for us. We want to be able to return the lands. And let's be honest, if we do get insurance, we know the township's insurance is going to be the one that's being called upon if there's an issue. So we wanted to be practical in our approach here. So I think this bylaw is written that we are able to do what we need to do if conformity is not with the bylaw.
Okay. If there's nothing further underneath questions, oh, there's some more questions? Mr. Beelan, we're going to get to your motion. Okay, who wants to go first?
Well, I didn't know if the motion was ready yet, but
We're
I
not-
do have another potential amendment.
Well, now you're number 3 in line now. So do
Okay, then I'll wait. I don't care.
you want to wait then? Just
Or
before
I
you
can just
start?
open this up for the people to think about while we're. It's a question for Dan. This is the issue about the fees. I understand that, I don't think we're out of range with other places. I think they charge, some other townships charge more. But I can see the first year, you have to review the plan, and maybe we can include a diagram that where you can, if we do approve the amendment, where you can plant taller plants, where you can't. So you have to inspect the plan, which takes time. And I'm thinking the second year, you wouldn't have to do that, but probably our people would have to go look at this every year. So which I don't mind an annual fee, maybe not, maybe it could be 3/4 of the normal fee or whatever. But I think you're going to have to inspect it for things like rocks being in there, signs or decorative stuff. And there would be a tendency, like other townships, for people to abandon these because these are perennials. I've already planted it. I don't have to look after it. I'll forget about it. So now you got noxious weeds or whatever. I think the township has to inspect them at least once a year. And that's going to cost the township money. So I don't mind an annual fee. Does it have to be the same as the first fee? That's my question to Dan.
The fee can be whatever council sets. The staff have recommended the fee.
Yeah.
So do you want to explain where you came to get to 50?
Okay, yeah. And that would, I guess that would cover the inspection every year. To me, that's not outrageous to do an inspection every year. So.
Your worship, through to Councillor Balin, that's exactly it. It's similar fee structure that we have on a lot of our permits. We do the same thing with patios, most recently, right? So there is a process in which we have to look at what was planted, perhaps look for any changes, perhaps, like Mr. Ferguson said, and you had referred to, was anything changed in the from one year to the next? Was a boulder placed there? Was a hole dug to put a minnow pond? Like the whole variety of things, right? That could potentially happen from year to year, and it just keeps track that people are acknowledging that they have this on their on the boulevard, and that they agree year over year to the conditions that are set out by the municipality to meet the bylaw year over year. So we thought that that was appropriate to have it year over year permit.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just thinking along those lines, if we agree to Councillor Walker's amendment of putting this as a one-year trial basis, I'm wondering if we can afford just to waive the fee for the first year as it's a trial. And then because they are perennial plants, obviously if they put them in this year, everybody said they're going to come up next year, they're probably going to continue with their garden. So on this being somewhat trial basis, possibly waive the fee for the first year.
We haven't got to that, but that's a good point. We all good with questions and ideas? Okay, let's go back. Mr. Beelan's motion. Do you have any technical data that we can add to the recommendation so that we can clarify the sightline numbers?
I do, Your Worship. And just consulting with staff here that our local to local road, so it'd be, I don't know what the reference would be. Perhaps Library Street to Caroline Street, let's say. That'd be a local to a local road, street. In our draft engineering standards, if you were to develop that property today, it would be a 3 meter by 3 meters, about 10 feet by 10 foot triangle. Collector road to a local road, it'd be 7.5 meters, which is about 25 feet by 25 feet. If you measure up those, that would be the triangle that I think Councillor Beelan was talking about. So if that were the case, then if the amendment went through for council, we could set out those perimeters of what class of road and what the daylight triangle would be, and the height of the plantings would have to be under a certain height. And then beyond that, and the rest of the boulevard, that would be up to a meter if that's what council wanted.
Okay, are we comfortable with that, Mr. Beelan? Madam Clerk, you good with what you've got?
Thank you, Worship. Do you mind if I just read out that
Sure,
amendment
please
here?
read out that amendment. This is just for discussion on the amendment. Council, go ahead.
Okay, so the amendment would read, be it resolved, the motion before council be amended to replace part 1 with the following. The council supports the new updated encroachment bylaw that includes regulations for boulevard gardens on public lands as outlined in Appendix B with the following amendments. That the height of plant material permitted under Schedule A, Section 3.7 of the bylaw be amended to change the height to 1 meter, and for safety, add a daylight triangle for boulevard gardens at an intersection of a local to local road by 3 meters by 3 meters, and a collector road to a local road be 7.5 meters by 7.5 meters.
So, but that doesn't indicate the intersections, what must be 0.6. You're suggesting that we increase to 1 meter.
Except in the site
Except
triangle.
in those areas.
Yeah.
So do we need to indicate for clarity that the amendment clearly says
Point
that in
six.
those areas, they must be 0.6?
Yes.
Or less. Oh, yeah. Do you have a question? The driveways are covered underneath the planning department, right? Are they not? Oh. You gave a good commentary earlier.
They're not in the current zoning bylaw. I would hope that the new zoning bylaw
Ah,
does impact that. However, the zoning bylaw generally doesn't apply in this context. It applies to,
zoning bylaw would have to apply. So in fact, when we write the actual bylaw, we'll have to include that for the deputy clerk and the clerk to make sure that that's in the bylaw. Right?
so if it should be, if you would like it to apply to the boulevard, Your Worship, I would recommend adding it in this context as well.
Okay,
This is
there you go
the-
then. How's that, Madam Clerk?
We're gonna have to, let me finish off this one to make
Sure.
sure we got it right. So the way the amendment would read is that the height of plant material permitted under Schedule A, Section 3.7 of the bylaw be amended to change the height to 1 meter, and for safety, at a daylight triangle plant height of 0.6 meters for boulevard gardens at an intersection of a local to local road with a site triangle of 3 meters by 3 meters, and a collector road to a local road be 7.5 meters by 7.5 meters. And then the zoning one, how would you like that worded?
Sorry, Worship, can I, through the clerk, I just confirmed with Ms. Kennedy that that should be a collector to a local is 7.5 meters on the collector road side by 3 meters on the local side. So it would be a obtuse triangle. I guess, I think that's the way.
Read that amendment. And then with the zoning bylaw, how do you want that worded regarding the driveways? Kind of looking to council and staff.
So, Your Worship, just talking with Amy, it would form part of the future zoning bylaw, so it's not there now. So we're going to amend this bylaw. It would have to be incorporated into this bylaw now. So if we wanted to do a daylight triangle at driveways, this would be the appropriate time to put those conditions into this bylaw. So if it were a 3 by 3 meter triangle at a driveway, it would be in this bylaw now.
Okay, thank you. Well, let's get her to write it and then we'll see what she says.
Dan, can you state that again regarding the driveways? So we're going to amend section 3.7 of the bylaw, be amended to change the daylight triangle at driveways. To a height of 0.6 meters.
Yeah.
Meters for a boulevard garden. And that's 3 meters.
3 meters by 3 meters, yeah.
And I'm just posing this to council and staff at this time because I think it's appropriate. Are we making this bylaw too difficult for regular people to understand and for staff to enforce? I just asked the question because it is a lot of numbers, and we just went through this with our fence bylaw, with our site triangles. We really had to change it because it wasn't easy for people to comply. And I'm not a number person, so I'm just asking. I'm a clerk.
I hear what you're saying, Madam Clerk. I think that the concern here is that, again, as I said right at the beginning of this discussion, we want to bring the public into compliance with our regulations. The conflict right now exists between the road authority and the desires of the public to have gardens built on boulevards. And so we want to find a way to do this. So if someone's going to engage in, undertake attempting to build a said garden in a boulevard, they're definitely going to have to take a look at the technical requirements of doing this because it is a road and it will have technical requirements. And so they're going to have to do that. The last piece that's not quite mentioned is something that Mr. Ferguson said about making sure that the boulevard doesn't have any, trip hazards or obstructions or something that would cause somebody to trip, fall, or have injury, because the liability still remains with the township, right? So if somebody went running through it and suddenly there's a rock in there, but you didn't see it, they trip over it. So, a person today can use the boulevard for the purposes of putting up a mailbox. The Canada Post system is designed so you can have it and it's in the boulevard and you can put up a mailbox, but the mailbox regulations are that it has to be so high by it has to fit that category. So the use of boulevards today is actually being used. People do use their boulevards and people do maintain them. But all I'm hoping that we're doing here, Madam Clerk, is creating a bylaw that does create the compliance so people can do this without breaking the road bylaws. That's really what it's all about. Does that help? Sometimes technical matters. I'm sure your bylaw guys have tape measures.
No, I just had to ask the question because I know we're in the age of we're trying to make bylaws a little bit more
Yeah.
easily read.
Yes.
And I just wanted to make sure that we were just keeping that in mind when we make these amendments.
I get it.
Yeah.
I get it. Dan, you
You're-
comfortable with what
yeah.
we're saying here?
Yeah, your worship, and if I might, yeah, we did this with the patio policy as well, that we created a general sketch that we could easily create to accompany the permit application with the conditions. So it would, so like just a bit of a diagram that shows if you're on a corner, this is what you're allowed to plant where, and at your driveway, this is allowed, where you're allowed to plant and what.
A lot of people wouldn't know what a collector road is though versus a local road.
Yeah.
And so there has to be some clarity in there somehow. I mean, collector roads are part of the traffic study management programs. And so everyone should know Mary Street is a collector road, FYI. So anyway. How we doing? I'm still trying to get to Marty for your first amendment. And then we'll have a vote on it. John, did you have something?
Yeah, well, I was just, to Dan's point, I think the illustrations will help the public understand the bylaw. So if they know that the pollinator garden can't be at a certain height from the driveway side, then they'll be able to see it and we can illustrate what that looks like. And we can call it a collector road and even name what a collector road is to help them understand. Because I would suggest that most of the public, just hearing what we're saying today, the site angle, the triangle and the 7.5 meters, no one's really picking up, I think, really what we're saying. And I think what we're saying is correct, but I think it needs to have the illustrations supporting.
Right. And it falls underneath that liability that the township has. And our staff are the professionals and they bring that information to us as council. And that's why we have to discuss it. So fortunately, I've been engaged with some technical issues about roads here in the past. Certainly stuff up on the escarpment I'm well aware of. So I've learned a little bit as I go along in this job. So Madam Clerk, how you doing?
I think I'm good.
Okay.
Let me read out some.
Okay, so for everyone's purpose right now, you're going to read this out for Mr. Beelan, and Mr. Beelan's going to advise if he wants that, and then I'll ask for a second.
That sounds great. All right, so the amendments are that the height of plant material permitted under Schedule A, Section 3.7 of the bylaw be amended to change the height to 1 meter, and for safety, add a daylight sight triangle plant height of 0.6 meter for boulevard gardens at an intersection of a local to local road be 3 meters by 3 meters, and a collector road to a local road be 7.5 meters on the collector road side and 3 meters on the local road side. And that the height of plant material permitted under Schedule A, Section 3.7 of the bylaw be amended to add a daylight sight triangle of 3 meters by 3 meters at driveways and permitting a plant height of 0.6 meters within this triangle. And that the bylaw contain a clause that it is in effect for a 1-year pilot project from the day of passing with the opportunity to make it a permanent bylaw after a year.
That's two amendments in one.
Might as well do all your amendments all at once.
First, Mr. Walker, are you comfortable passing that amendment to Mr.?
Yes, I am, Your Worship. Yes, I am, Your Worship. I just find that it's a great opportunity for us to hear comments, receive the comments and look at our end of it as well as the public's side to see if we can rework it in some manner if we need to. So I'm quite happy with the 1-year pilot project.
Yes, I'm happy with it.
The only, did I hear that it's a one, that they're waiving the fee? At any, that's what I was just wondering.
That'll be another,
I'm fine, thanks.
we're comfortable with what.
Yes, now that we've accepted the fact that it's going to be a one-year trial, then I'm making an amendment that we waive the fee for the first year and get the ball rolling. During the trial period.
You don't have.
Thank you, Your Worship. I don't disagree with the concept of waiving it. It'll give us two opportunities. One is that we can look at how much work it requires for our staff to inspect and maintain and everything else. And it will give a chance for the people who are the community members to see if it's worth their while to continue on with the program. The other thing I'd like to say is I'd like it removed, the fee, even though we've set it at potentially the bylaw was $50 at this time. I would suggest we review it and establish a fee in next year.
Sure.
As opposed to saying it's going to be $50.
We can do that every year.
Right, but in the same hand, I don't want people to expect that all of a sudden we're getting called out by complaints, and all of a sudden, hey, this project, we're spending 3 and 4 trips down there, we're going to say, well, there's a lot more work involved. So I'd rather review the cost of what it's costing us to maintain this project, and we establish a rate at next year at this time.
Okay. That'll be part of the report, I would hope. Good. All right. How you doing, Madam Clerk?
Make that change.
I was thinking we'd actually have a motion after we're done here to direct staff to create a report. That's where I was going with this, but if you want to put it in now. Somebody once said that municipal government works at glacial speed. I would suggest that's not the case with the speed that she's typing at right now.
All right, so the motion on the floor, we've got a mover, not a seconder yet, is be it resolved that the motion before council be amended to replace part 2 with the following, that the fee be waived for the first year of the pilot project and beginning May 24, 2026, then the annual fee be established and approved by council.
Sounds good. Are you comfortable with that? Thank you, Mr. MacArthur. I will look for a seconder on this motion. Mr. Broderick's going to take that seconder. Any discussion on this amendment? Mr. Walker?
I agree with that. I'm just making sure that registration is still required for the property in order to move forward with it for this year. Just want to make that sure that that's understood.
I think that's the case, okay? Is that the recommendation is to create a policy, which is a bylaw, which will create the responsibility of the landowner who wishes to engage, that they have to follow through all those processes. There just won't be a fee this year. Okay, And of course, council takes the right to review it after this season and prepare something prior to May 24th, 2026. Okay? Nobody has any further? On the amendment, council, you have a mover and a seconder. I'm prepared to call it. All those in favor? That does carry unanimously as well. Very good. Are there any further discussions or items or amendments that are made? No deferrals? I'm smiling at John over there. He doesn't want me to defer this. I can't blame him. Members of council, if there's nothing further, all right. I am just want to again thank the staff. I know this may be a little bit of work, but I'm glad we're going to be able to do this. Thank the public for their input over the years, the year that's been, and I look forward to further engagements on this very positive thing for our community. All right. Madam Clerk, the initial mover and seconder, I've just forgotten. I think it was MacArthur, wasn't it? Who was the initial mover? MacArthur, right. Mr. MacArthur and initial mover?
Actually, on the main motion, it's Councillor Deneen and Councillor Broderick.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's Deneen. Thank you, Miss Deneen. Sorry. Just, I see these fellows over here often. They just always chupping in. It's okay. We're going to let Deneen get some more in here, guys. Okay, here we go. We have a main motion as amended. Members of council, I'm prepared to call the motion. All those in favor? That carries unanimous. There you go. Look forward to getting this project underway. Thank you very much. For clarity, do we need a motion to direct staff to create this report, or do you want to do this at another time? Madam Clerk.
Thank you, Worship. Actually, we will be presenting the bylaw with these amendments on June 2nd, so
Sure.
next council meeting. So we will turn this over quickly tomorrow because we know there's importance. And then we'll start the pilot project. We'll write in that bylaw that it started May 24th, and that's when the pilot project will end. And a report will be coming back to council before that date to talk about fees and any amendments that you may wish at that time.
Dan, go ahead.
Through your worship, just to clarify, we'll also need to come up with a application form of some sort and that sketch that we had suggested that goes with the application form as well. So we'll come up with that very shortly also.
Okay. I tell you what, I know that we can rely on some of the resources of the staff to help you with those sketchings and those type of things, but certainly we'll get the main bylaw done first. It'll be on the agenda, right?
Yeah.
And we can receive it, pass it, and we can accept. If we can't get it on the second, we can certainly just accept that staff can, initiate those works. Is that right? Okay. You're comfortable with that? All right. All right, folks, thank you very much. Let's keep moving. It's almost 8 o'clock. One of our longest meetings yet. Members of council, we're moving on to PW 010-2025 Granular Material Tender Award. Be it resolved, the Council of the Township of Clearview hereby received report PW 011 Granular Material Tender Award dated May 26, 2025. Item 1, the council award the tender number 2504 to RNL Construction Limited, operated as Sealy and RNL Construction, in the amount of $441,750 plus HT for supply of granular material for township gravel road resurfacing. Mover and seconder. Deneen Walker, thank you. Did you want to speak to this, Todd, or you're here to talk about this? I mean, granular material. I do have one quick question, and it's really simple, Todd. This includes all sizes of materials that we would use in road repair, road maintenance work, and so on, right? I mean, the work we did on 3031, we had various sizes of material being put in the road to fix it, right?
Yeah.
So this is not specific to one grade. This is sort of total tonnage.
That's correct, your worship. Yeah, it's for the granular A that we use for our large maintenance. It's also for granular B supplied and delivered. There's a number of different items in that tender.
Okay. All right. And Sealy and RNL are located in Gray County.
Correct.
I see. Okay. All right, members of council, thank you very much. Do you have any questions to Todd? Yes, go right ahead.
Through your worship to Todd, just remind me which section we're doing this year?
Yeah, through your worship, to Council MacArthur, we're the northwest section this year, so, yeah. Nottawa, that way come down to 21-22 side road, the south.
Oh, okay, perfect. Yeah. Okay, do you have another question too?
Just for instance, because we know where most of the pits are, or we know where the pits are. This is a quote we've talked about before about local procurement, and we've talked about price differential. Is this a situation where if you had the opportunity, you like one product over another, a sand pit or an open pit versus a quarried pit?
We do like what comes from the quarry, whether it be from Walker's or from CBM. The material does place well, it sits well, so we are fond of that material for the granulars on the road. Once again, if it come in at a different way, as long as it passed specs, we would be happy with that as well. If it was a sand pit as opposed to the limestone, if that's what you're referring to, I assume.
Well, we're starting to talk about, especially with this Canada-US relationship, you know, we start talking about relationship and buying material locally, and Walkers are in our jurisdiction. And I know Seal Internet and CBM are just outside it. Daltilo, I'm not sure where they're getting it from. Could be local, could be within our community. So this is one of those bids that's so close that you sort of, you know, we start looking at some of those things, just to put it that way.
Yeah, and through your worship, that would be probably more a question for yourselves or for our treasurer and the procurement bylaw. So again, we're following that, so I don't know where we could go differently unless it was directed so by council.
Good, thank you.
Mr. Beelan.
Thank you, Your Worship. I know the closer ones should have the competitive advantage. They don't have to truck it as far, so they should be able to bid lower. I'm just wondering who got this last year, and I remember Gary Priest's name was brought up. Was that for the road salt or sand, or, and who did this last year? Because it's nice to spread it out too, so that you have people bidding on it and not the same company getting it year after year.
Yeah, thank you through your worship to Councillor Beelan. So Sealy has had it for a number of years now, a few years. Walker's did bid this year, which is nice to see. They haven't for a couple of years. So obviously that's the competition. That's where the supply is coming from. There was 5 bids altogether this year, which has gone up. We've had one year we had 2 bids. So it is nice to see the competition, and the numbers are getting closer. That's for sure.
Okay. And was Gary Priest for the other one, right?
Sorry, Gary Priest was the winter sand.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is there other questions? I'm just going to state that once again, it's disappointing that we are not working with properties that are within our township. Walkers pay significant taxes to this township. They employ people right here in our township. And in fact, they actually pay us a per ton levy to this township. And it just surprises me every year that we get this tender, and our blue trucks are going to be driving on a piece of road that is not a road approved or a truck route approved truck route. But we can do that because our trucks are exempt because we're government, which personally I think is ridiculous. But nevertheless, I'm happy to save money, but I think that the optics of this are always frustrating to me, given that, you know, I hear from the citizens complaining about the trucks and the number of trucks that go right by the Walker Quarry, and they're going on a piece of road that's not a truck route. And yet our trucks are going over there to get the materials and bring it back. So I would encourage your drivers, Todd, if they're getting materials, if they can go down the county line to 124 in Singhampton, that'd be just fine with me. But, you know, I know they're going to do their safest route possible, and they're going to drive their trucks safely as we continue to keep them maintained safe. So I'm all good with that too. But again, this is frustrating every year when I see this. It's such a small difference, and yet we seem to miss out giving it to our own neighbor. Thank you. Members of council, there's a motion in front of you. I'm prepared to call the motion. All those in favor? I'm voting against it. Thank you. It carries. Thank you very much so. Okay, there's bylaws here in front of us, folks. Bylaw 2535, it's the appointment bylaw. which is what we talked about last week. Be it resolved that bylaw 2535 being a bylaw to amend the Schedule A of bylaw 22101, which is the appointing members to the Township of Clearview committees and boards, be presented and read a first, second, and third time, finally passed this 26th day of May 2025. Ms. Deneen and Mr. MacArthur, how's that? Any questions on this bylaw? Seeing none. All those in favor? That carries unanimous. Thank you. And at this time, I'm looking for notices of motion or new business. Anybody got any notice of motion or new business? Dan, how's our storm cleanup going?
Your worship,
I know it's late, sorry.
I refer that to Todd. I think our portion of our storm cleanup is nearing completion. I think it's very sporadic. It's kind of at a point where our crews will get to cleaning up areas where are needed, when time permits. But for the most part, I think we're pretty much wrapped up.
Okay. The CAO and I took a tour there on Friday, and we observed some hydro poles along the concession road there going sort of east out of Singhampton. Poles laying in the ditch, still with metal hardware on them and wire all wrapped around them, and just wondered if anybody's in contact with hydro to have those things removed. I mean, or do we just pick them up and take them away ourselves? Or frankly, do we let the residents just take them away? Sorry to ask.
Yeah, I wasn't aware, your worship, but we could certainly contact Hydro.
Okay.
Sure, we have some contacts that we could reach out to and find out what their plans are for those items that are left.
Can you tell me if there's been any further contact or conversation with our friends at the county regarding Milltown Road?
Nope, I haven't heard. I think there was an email that went back and forth today, I think, from what I saw.
Good.
But nothing from my end.
Okay.
Your worship,
Yes.
I did have a discussion with the county today,
Good.
and they say they're going to be getting in there soon.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I'm just concerned that the materials are going to still be there when we get to the next ice storm. Anyway, that's all I'll say for now. Members of council, we have the confirmatory bylaw, be it resolved bylaw 2536 being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of the May 26, 2025 council meeting be presented and read a first, second, and third time and finally passed 26th day of May. Deputy Mayor and Mr. Broderick, thank you. Any questions on the confirmatory? All those in favor? That carries. And motion to adjourn, 8:03. Is that right, Madam Clerk? Yeah, we'll go with 8:03. Broderick? Walker? Thank you. Council will be adjourned.